What is up, fellow sickos? I am Dan Favale coming at you with the certifiably fantabulous Mr. Grant Hughes. The first round of the NBA draft is officially over. I had to check that because we almost jumped on before it started because Grant, I beat my deadline. I filed like 5 minutes early based on what I was going to do. I was kind of leap of faith that nothing was going to happen spectacular in the final 5 picks of the draft, but look at me beating deadlines. We're here for one of my favorite pastimes now. And we've also got a Giannis trade to get to, other trades, transactions to get to. We'll get to all of it. But this is our 2026 NBA draft blind reaction where Grant heroically agrees to abstain from consuming or looking at or following any piece of draft content in the first round. He has no idea who was selected, who went where. We'll go through the greatest hits, and he will just try and guess who went where or if something happened. I have to say, before we start, Grant, you were the one that pitched this a couple years ago, and I was open to trying it, but wasn't sure like how it would go with us doing it. It was so much fun, and so when I circled back to you this year for what is now our 3rd annual blind NBA draft reaction, you seemed less than enthused about it. You were like, does this really work? And so now here we are. I'm trying to sell you on your baby. This is your baby.
Well, it's a tradition unlike any other. It's year 3 going strong.
Check the comments. Be rich.
Favorite gimmick.
Yeah.
It is. So I worried a little bit that it's also pretty transparently a way for me to be lazy. And to check out of like being on my phone or in front of a screen or keeping up with anything for several hours on a day when someone in our line of work probably should be paying attention. It's a real luxury that I don't have to. So I was a little concerned that just trying to do some self-assessment, am I just using this as an excuse to be lazy? Jury's still out. I don't know. I do enjoy doing it. I was just a little worried that maybe I don't know if this bit works. I don't know if I don't know what the true motivation is. I'm still asking those questions. But I'm excited to do this because I know it gives you joy. And I do like coming in with it's every year I say this, I know less about these prospects than in any previous year. I feel like we were talking off air and I got, but still more than 99% of the normal human population. But if you're listening to this, there's a good chance you've watched more tape on Keaton Wagler. We also had a discussion about, I've heard it pronounced both ways. I don't know the answer. I haven't watched a heck of a lot of tape on him. So that's not really what's more interesting is okay, we know what all these teams need, what they've been looking to acquire, what their weaknesses are, what they're trying to be on the competitive spectrum. And then so I do feel like it's interesting to think about the picks from that perspective. So, hopefully I know you will. I hope I will also provide some useful information. We'll see.
You will, and it's just great. This is also, that's why you go to patreon.com/HardwoodKnocksNBA, because Grant is willing to debase himself for free, mostly. Also, why don't you become a paying member as well?
I'd rather do it for a fee.
Right. So let's start with the number 1 pick, which, we all know who that was owned by. Well, Grant, who had the number 1 pick?
The team that believes in Trae Young like nobody believes in anybody. All right.
Who did they
take? I assume they took AJ Dybantsa.
You would be correct.
Okay.
AJ Dybantsa went number 1.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
That felt like consensus. I would have been a little concerned. I guess I hate that you have to view it through this lens, but okay, so they're committed to Trae Young on the biggest, not technically the biggest money they could have, but close enough to there being no real difference. And maybe Peterson would have been a slightly not perfect fit there. Dybantsa's he's a big wing. It's a different position. From what I can tell, that's a dude that wants the ball and is best with the ball a lot. I don't think he's going to see it a ton.
I need to interject. You're banned from the comments because we already have spoilers in the comments. So you're banned.
Well, I saw that, but I was going to pick. Was going to be my guess anyway.
But you're officially banned from looking at the comments section. So.
Oh, should I? Yeah, you know what? Actually, let me close it. I'll just pull the private chat up in that window so I can't see anything. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was insofar as there's a right pick, knowing as little as I know, Dybantsa felt like just like they had to do that, right? I think that made the most sense. Unless you're going super stat heavy and just like the undeniable boozer numbers in college and how those always translate. I would have been more shocked if it had been Peterson than Boozer. I'm glad I can't see the comments.
You're good, okay. Kerrigan. No, that's
you
great.
Don't need
we
to
love it. We
apologize.
love it. I'm with you. The only thing that I think you could have twisted yourself into a pretzel is that because they invested, you should never draft for fit with number one. No, just to be clear.
Full
but
stop.
with Trae Young there, and then having Anthony Davis, Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly as one of your wings, the spacing's a little iffier. So would you have preferred someone like Darryn Peterson, who played off the ball a lot at Kansas this past year, and looks like he could do a lot of the on-ball stuff, but maybe might grade out as a more lethal shooter? But I just think this Wizards team, if you look at them, look at their primary players, they don't have anyone, I would say, who can consistently generate rim pressure themselves. Like Anthony Davis on the roll, sure. AJ Dybantsa averaged 8.5 free throw attempts per game last year. And so that's just like the money. And I think his floor, his ceiling, I've seen Tracy McGrady as like one of the better comps. I've seen like his floor being a Brandon Miller, which if that's his floor, sign me up. So I'm just curious to see how he comes in and adjusts to what I can only assume is going to be a lower usage role alongside Trae and AD. That's my big question here.
That's a huge worry. I mean, we're not here to really talk about this aspect of it, but Trae, like, he dominates the ball like few guys. He gets the assist numbers, but like it's not, those good, even the best versions of those Hawks offenses ran through one dude. And so I think that is a concern for literally anybody that could have been picked here is will that, and like maybe it doesn't matter rookie year because basically nobody's good as a rookie, especially in a high usage role. But just from a developmental standpoint, we got to leave it alone. I'm just going to shit on the Trae Young signing.
And we're going to talk about the Trae Young signing at the end of all this, but I do think what could help is that if Trae is willing to maybe get off the ball a little bit quicker, there's something to it, at least in my mind, of if your role is streamlined for AJ Dybantsa, or even you look at an Anthony Davis or just some of these other guys on Alex Sarr, Trae Young could be someone who provides you an offensive lift and makes you more efficient and allows you to grow into a role. But I do think it's going to take some material evolution on Trae. Right. I think Trae has become a little underrated. Just the way that people are. I would not have paid him what they paid him. We'll get into it later. But I think that as a playmaker, as a guy who can set up shots, draw attention when he gets into the lane, if you need someone to work within confined spaces, when you look at some of these lineups Washington might be running out, I think he could be helpful. But I also believe you could put a bunch of other guys, not that the Wizards could have gotten these guys, but you could put a bunch of other floor general types in here and feel way better about it than having Trae Young there for sure.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic. You could be right. There are ways for this to work, but I would like to log my second correct pick in a row because one, it's been spoiled, and two, it had to be Darryn Peterson, number 2, correct?
I don't know how you knew this, but good job by you. 100% hit rate through 2 picks.
Pretty good. What do we think about him and Keontae George together? And what do we make of what this lineup's going to look like? We still have Walker Kessler presumably coming back, but I don't know, like that may not be. But how do you feel about his fit in Utah?
This feels like a cleaner fit to me than had they got AJ Dybantsa. And I think that part of it was, he went to BYU. They're going to want to trade up and get him or hope that he falls. And I'm not saying he would have been a bad fit, but when you look at what Darryn Peterson did off the ball this year at Kansas, and then knowing that maybe he can toggle back to high school and be more on the ball, get to the, like, if you watch the way he moves, he really does remind me a lot of Anthony Davis when he is, Anthony Edwards when he's on the ball.
He's leaner though, right? Like he's not, Edwards was a little like more of a forceful athlete. That was my recollection. I don't know. I'm just trying to poke holes.
I think that's right. It's tough because I don't remember. I'm thinking of Anthony Edwards right now, who's kind of just built like a 2-guard tank a little bit. Yeah. And so it's just, he's definitely not.
He wasn't always that way. Yeah. What appeals to me about Peterson is of the limited prep I did is like the idea of like maybe best shooter in the class kept coming up. And so like, all right, well then I'm good. That could play anywhere. And then the other thing that came up was what you mentioned is like the shot creation for others was not there in college. But if you watch his high school tape, everybody I listened to would say that, and it's like, this dude can, like, he could be a number one, create for yourself and others type guy. That's more what's that mean for Keontae George? I thought he was the whole reason we fast tracked this thing. A major reason that they fast tracked this thing. But if Peterson is the level of shooter that some people think he is, then I sort of don't have any concerns anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think, honestly, not that AJ probably shouldn't have done this, even though his defense feels very assignment based, is what a lot of people pointed out. And if you watch, the lack of defensive playmaking from Dybantsa is, for someone with that size, it's awkward. But he almost this might be a terrible analog, but he reminds me of Klay Thompson. Whereas you tell Klay Thompson go shut down that guy, I think that he could do it, even if he needs to navigate screens to get it done. But with Peterson, I think that if you're worried about Keontae George defending the other team's best guard, Peterson at his peak or near his peak, I think can do that no problem. Whether he's that player consistently remains to be seen. And I know Keontae George got a little bit got better defensively this past year, but to have Peterson there as that backstop or that primary, I think they can work well together. I do wonder, though, if this makes it less likely that Keontae George gets an extension because Utah wants to see what that partnership looks like. And they're also going to have to navigate. It would have been way weirder with Dybantsa in Utah. There's going to be some functional friction just with Ace Bailey, Darren Peterson, Keontae George, Larry Markin, and Jaren Jackson Jr. And if Walker Kessler comes back, to me, I look at that as, well, you have 6 starters, long-term starters on your team. So how do you navigate that? But the fit feels more intuitive, and it's not, they didn't choose Peterson over Dybantsa here. He was just the guy that was there. And so I think with the shooting and what I think he'll be able to do for them defensively, it's going to be a great, and honestly, when you look at the consensus 4 picks, you couldn't, why would you pick Boozer or even Caleb? Well, you have Larry Markin and Jaren Jackson Jr. on here. So never mind Walker Kessler, but why are you picking one of those other 2 guys?
Yeah. What do you think this means for Cody Williams?
I think that he'll probably win Most Improved Player and begin his MVP trek as early as 2027, actually.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you'd say.
Who had the 3rd pick? Did they trade it, Grant?
You're trying to trick me. No, the Memphis Grizzlies with the number 3 pick select Cam Boozer.
They did.
Yeah. I mean, the people that rely on the analytics are like, this guy's the number 1 player in this draft, and it's not close. And I have to say, when we talked in passing about him, I don't know, a week ago, I was kind of like, everything I hear, I just kind of hate it. I just not athletic enough, cannot score against like-sized players. But then the other stuff you hear, put the numbers aside, he might have been the correct number 1 pick if you just trust it was. Well, I mean, Cody Williams is right there. I have to bring it up. There's a case to be made that Boozer should have gone first, just because guys with his statistical translations from college that are that productive at that age. By the way, he's the youngest of the consensus top 4 by by a year almost, I think. Those guys don't fail. It was hard for me to just trust the numbers with some of the physical profile stuff. But then it's you also hear about the incredible court mapping he does. Maybe he's this pick and roll spammer. How the shot might be there. Maybe he's Kevin Love is a floor, or then I'm I'm definitely off of the I just don't see how it could work train, which I was on for a minute. So I think this is the right pick. It is possible he's the best player in this draft.
I didn't see this. This is funny. Kerrigan says, "Let's go." Redacted is a chat. Pete also said, "I think Jake Fisher actually ran Shams off Twitter tonight with the scoops." Jake Fisher was so, and I know he had some iffy Jared McCain stuff back in the day when he was reporting that, but he must have had Shams so shook that Shams, just tweeted the same thing 5 times before we jumped on, basically. So Shams was shook. But yeah, so we had that conversation that you mentioned. So I went, and before I talked with Jonathan Wasserman, I was watching as much of digesting as much of these prospects as I could. Maybe I was going into it with such a low opinion of Cam Boozer that I came away blown away. And so I said, I understand all the concerns, but I think anyone who's trying to, and I know that we're kind of forced to give comps now, but anyone who's trying to pin him down to a singular offensive player, it's just not going to work, because I don't know that I've ever seen anything like this. And it's just the effort like the low effort ability of him to be able to run pick and rolls is the just the initiator. I know he's 6'9", and so it's we've seen 6'9" point forwards before, but he just looks like a big. And so I'm not a big fan of these like pure fours, and I think that's really what he is. He can't play the 3, and he probably can't play the 5. You need to be in a very like maybe in OKC. Basically,
well, it just doesn't sound like he can defend the rim. Like unless you just become the greatest positional defender of all time. Like but physically he does not have the tools to be a backline anchor. I feel confident with that.
But part of defense, and what did we say this about Jokic, is that ending possessions is valuable.
Sure,
he does that on the defensive glass, and we're now at a point where how many teams are trying to win the possession battle? His offensive rebounding is going to be critical. And like Carrigan said, this is the one I brought up, I think, to Was, was he reminds me of just like a less athletic peak Blake Griffin in Detroit.
Yeah.
But even he's more fluid on the ball.
I think he's a better decision maker. Like he's a more natural, like he just, I've used this, I can't remember like which players I have misapplied this to, but it's probably like he's a correct decision factory. Like just like when he gets the ball, it goes where it's supposed to immediately. And that kind of like unteachable feel, maybe it's teachable. I don't know. He's like the son of an NBA player, so he's probably had great teachers, but whatever it is,
which you didn't see this, by the way, Carlos Boozer just being he looked so overjoyed. It was just one of those moments where it's like, that was freaking cool. That was just great. His smile was like, he might still be like, it might just be tattooed into his facial structure now. He was smiling so wide.
So the whatever that is that he has, the feel, court mapping, whatever it is, like he's just a basketball player, like that thing, coupled with the youth, like he is young for the class. Like you can kind of trust him more than you would others to like figure it out. I would say like to overcome the limitations. There are real limitations. Like there's just no getting around that. But I do think if you're going to bet on someone to sort it out, you maybe bet on this guy who also like could not have been more statistically dominant. Like, you know, at the highest level he was allowed to play at the time. So like that stuff just counts. He's going to be one of the players in this class I'm most interested to watch, just because there's so many like polarizing pluses and minuses. Like, I just don't know how it's all going to work.
And what's interesting, he ended up in a good spot if Zach Edey is healthy, to have him as sort of that backstop rim protector. But the problem then is that might be one of the least mobile switchable front courts in the NBA right now. And so I'm curious to see how Boozer does. There's no, he's going to be stashed on the pick or something. Like you can't do that, at least in their core lineup. So I'm going to be watching that. But if Zach Edey is healthy, he also does do a lot of what like Cam Boozer's not, like just protect the rim on the defensive end is huge. And there might be some stretch to Zach Edey too. And so you could easily run like Cam Boozer could run a pick and roll with Cedric Howard or Jalen Wells or whoever's ever playing guard while Zach Edey is spacing. So there's just all these options for Memphis's offense now. But I'm with you. I came, maybe it's because our opinion of him though was led to be so low at the beginning, but I'm really, I'm with you. But one of the more polarizing prospects, but I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah,
who had the number 4? Who ended up with the number 4 pick, Grant?
Well, the Bulls had it. I'm going to assume they kept it. Am I correct there? And I'm going to say they picked Caleb Wilson. This will be the last pick that I feel remotely confident about.
They did. You were spot on there. That was. Do you think that who had the easier decision, Memphis or Chicago?
Honestly, I think Memphis. Well, no, I see what you're saying. Everybody and their mother thought this was a top 4. I think, based on my cursory research, I just sort of don't. I think there was a drop off at 3, and maybe Wilson should be in a tier by himself, just because the next tier of players are all, or most of them are at like similar or same position. But I don't totally get Wilson, like from what I've heard and seen and read as like an NBA player. I don't, because there's not a lot of like, he's not expected to be able to shoot necessarily, right? And he's hyper athletic. Seems like a 4 that's not a 5 or a 3. And I just don't know what you do with that guy. And just anecdotally, players that when you're describing his qualities that come to mind are like real bust, like hyper athletic 4s that are kind of neither here nor there. Like like Tyrus Thomas or like the Stromile Swifts, like those guys to go back a long way. But like when I was hearing Caleb Wilson's skill set described before I watched him, those two guys came to mind immediately. And I just don't, I'm sure I'm like way off base or like grossly oversimplifying. I'm not surprised he was the pick here, but I was never as high on him as Boozer or either of the top two.
Yeah, that's why I think Memphis probably actually had the easier decision, because Caleb Wilson was number 6 on my personal big board that everyone should take as gospel. Okay. But when you do watch him, there's a real passing, you could call it like right decision-making factory guy. That's there for him. And defensively, I think he has the ability to actually play some 5, but also to just be as dominant on defense as like a Scotty Barnes. It's funny, the two players that I came away thinking about when I was watching him was Colin Murray Boyles and Scotty Barnes. And so that player has a lot of offensive holes, of course. And so I think the swing with him is going to be, yes, there's the jump shot, but if he can't do that, it's, well, then how many minutes can he log at the 5? And I think that he has enough, just like, not just forget the athleticism and the tools and the speed at which he plays, but I think that he just has enough to get by, maybe not as a perma 5, but if that was to be one of your like core lineups, him featuring a 5, I think he'll be able to do it.
All right. If he's viable somewhere other than the 4, which is like a non-position almost now, then I would retract some of what I said.
The Tyrus Thomas slander will not stand. I don't know what, like, offensively, like, you want to have good spacing around him though, and so if you want to play him at the 4, I don't know that you need a stretch 5. Like, he either needs to develop a jump shot, or if he's not, then he might need to play it. Because if you play him with a traditional 5, like if you choppered him into Toronto right now and made him play with Jakob Poeltl, I think you're going to have real issues.
Yeah. Okay. If there's Scotty Barnes upside, then I
defensively.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
Because I think Scotty Barnes came in and they were like, we felt better, I think, at the time about his handle. Maybe we didn't feel as good about his, but there's like, I don't think he needs to just be in space to make passing. Okay. Like Caleb Wilson, I mean. And so can he run a half-court offense? No, I don't think that's going to be his bag either, though.
All right. This is where the draft starts to get interesting.
Right, but I think the first question is, who had the 5th pick?
Okay, yeah. So the Clippers could have traded it. I feel like I'm just going off the vibe of when we first signed on here. You didn't look to me like a guy that had just witnessed the top 5 pick get traded. So I'm going to go with the Clippers. I don't know what that means. You didn't look surprised enough. The Clippers kept it.
Okay, you got that right.
Yeah. All right. So this is where we get into the, like, how many are there? There's Flemings, Wagler. Jury's out. Acuff, your guy, Mikel Brown Jr., who I assume you had 5th on your board, because I remember you saying you liked him.
He was 4th. He was actually ahead of Boozer until I went and watched more of Boozer.
So it felt to me like I'm gonna go Keaton Wagler. Wagler sounds wrong. I'm gonna say Wagler, and correct me, somebody.
You're right. Okay. I don't know if you pronounced it right, but you were right.
Yeah. So I guess I this is where I have to just plead ignorance. Like, I understand that depending on your perspective, any of like 4 or 5 of the available like lead guard types could have gone here. Did you watch much tape on him, or when you talked to Was, did you get a sense of like what's the defining, if the Clippers made the correct pick here, why? Like, what was it about him that justified it?
I think that he is this bigger guard who can run your offense or play alongside Darius Garland. And so it's not that you should have made this pick, or Wagler if he's German.
Wagler.
So I think that's a big deal. And I feel not the only reason, but as a shot creator, as someone who's probably going to be able to score from every level, but also doesn't need the ball. I'm not saying if he needed to be on ball that Darius Garland needs to reshape your decision here, but the fact that he can slide in, play with Kawhi, play with Darius Garland, you don't have to allocate him a certain number of touches, but I also think maybe he can come in right away, and is he going to run a lot of your second units? I have questions about him on defense. I think that's why because when you look at the fluidity with which he plays, doesn't play as fast, I don't think, but Tyrese Halliburton comps were getting thrown out there a little haphazardly, but you could see it on defense, because it was, he might be in the right spots, but he's just not strong. And so that's going to not serve him. And he's not going to be super quick laterally against some of these guys. So, or excuse me, in general, I wouldn't have made this pick. I had Mikel Brown Jr. higher, but I love this pick for the Clippers because I think that this is, all right, we don't really know what the Clippers' long-term game is at the moment. It was the Zubats and Harden trades made you think that there was a little bit of a reset, but does that mean they're prioritizing later now? I think he's someone who could come in and he will, I don't know how good he'll be, but if you are able to play off the ball and are going to be in lineups with at least one of Kawhi or Darius Garland all time, like they're going to, like the Clippers are going to have some just gnarly, like you put all three of them on the court together, I don't know how you're necessarily supposed to stop them because all of them can create off the dribble. Kawhi doesn't need to get to the basket. They can all space the floor. So I think it's a good pick by the Clippers. Excuse me. I think it's a good pick by the Clippers. I think his fit is fantastic.
Okay, cool. Boy, well, now we get to so the Nets came into the night with the 6th pick. I assume they kept it. So
you're right. They kept it.
So no trades still. I guess that's not shocking. They took 1 million guards last year. They just traded for Julius Randle, who presumably will also be on the ball like a fair amount. But I don't think they went away from the guards. So now we're down to. So here's going to be my logic.
You're 5 for. I'm not putting any pressure on you, but you're 5 for 5 so far.
I'm gonna get this wrong because I'm gonna deviate a little bit on the thinking that the Kings cannot have nice things. They pick 7th. I feel like they wanted Acuff, so I'm gonna say the Nets took Acuff because the Kings can't have what they want, and I'm prepared to be wrong.
It's a good thing you're prepared because you were wrong. They took Mikel Brown Jr.
That's
my guy.
That's the chalk pick. I shouldn't have tried to get cute. I blew my perfect top 10.
This is cold. Whatever the Clippers do, just don't trade this 6'6" guard to the Thunder a year and a half from now.
What could go wrong?
Obviously, I love this pick.
Yeah.
I've compared Mikel Brown Jr. to LaMelo. Like, he plays like LaMelo Ball with a conscience. I know a lot of people aren't high on his defense, but a lot of the defensive playmaking he could do, the ball denial stuff, some of the steals he can get in passing lanes, the transition opportunities it creates. I love it. There's some concerns about the streaky shooting. Fair. Yeah. The back issues this past year. Fair. I think I think the Nets got an all NBA player. That would be if you gave me 0.5 over under all NBA teams, I'll take the over for his career.
All right. I love it. So if you're giving winners just in terms of value, because you could see Brown on some people's boards as like he's in the 10 to 12 range, right? Like
it's interesting. I didn't name the Nets as the biggest winner because I don't view this as like, for me specifically, they're a huge winner, but I didn't like Mikel Brown Jr. going at 6 is not some value play by consensus, right? Unless I'm missing something.
No. I that was like the had I not tried to get too cute, I think I would have picked him over like Flemings, or I've said Acuff, or I guess Burries would fit into that chunk. All right, so then the Kings must have gotten Acuff at 7.
It turns out, Grant, that it depends on your mileage of can the Kings have nice things, and they got Darius Acuff at 7, so you were right there. Now you say the Kings can't have nice things, so implying that Darius Acuff is
just because that's who they wanted. I don't know how nice of a thing he is, but it seemed like that's who they sort of had their hopes pinned on. Whether that might be a pretty good argument for that was not the right guy because they liked him. But I get it. Like so of this group, he's the most like bona fide scorer, correct? Like which of yay points, I guess, is kind of the thinking for the Kings.
I mean, sure, just to add another guard to the fold. I don't know if this is, could you call the Kings guards winners or losers here? Because you're more likely to get traded if you're a Malik Monk or Zach LaVine, or get waived if you're a DeMar DeRozan, who's not really a guard anymore, but you get where I'm going.
He's getting waived.
But so does that make him a winner or a loser? Because you escaped the Kings.
He's a point guard, right? Acuff is a point guard, or he's going to play point guard, correct? So like, I don't know. I mean, Monk is a combo guy. I mean, Devin Carter is not someone who cares if you're taking touches from him. Russ is a free agent. Like, I mean, so is the concern that like Acuff is going to get his own too much, and so like the other guys around him will not be scoring? Like, is that why you're?
I'm
I'm honestly
don't
asking.
Think that, I just don't think that you can win a title with a small guard.
Okay.
I just don't think it's been proven.
Do you remember like 10 days ago or a week ago?
No, what happened?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say.
I do worry about him on defense because he is one as far as quote unquote a small guard would go.
The infrastructure there is fine, Dan. Don't worry about that.
Right. And I think you need to now build your team, which they have not done, in the image of having him as the focal, but they're not even close to, I think, insulating him. And I think that him being kind of on the stronger end will help. But I don't know. If you're asking me if they should have taken somebody else here, probably not.
Okay.
When you look at, there are other guys that I like, but for there's at least one other, probably two other players that I like a lot more. But for the Kings specifically, I think I can get on board with this pick. But I do think that his value is going to be very infrastructure dependent, not just on defense, but even on offense. If you're looking at the way he's going to create space in the mid range, or if you want him to get all the way to the basket, it's going to be very infrastructure dependent. They don't have it right now. This isn't to say the Kings can't go build that out. But I do like if you're going to go with a small guard, and this is not just because Jalen Brunson won a title, the small guard that's like, and 6'2" is not overwhelmingly small. Jalen Brunson's probably 5'11". He's listed at 6'2", but he's not.
Yeah.
But like if he has some strength, I think that both, like Kyle Lowry's the one I keep coming back to. It's just like he was basically 6 foot, and like even Chris Paul, and so Acuff's not stocky like either one of Stocky's either one of those guys, but he'll get stronger. Like he's he only 20 years old? How old is he?
He's 19.
He's 19, so even better. He's going to continue to get stronger. I think, look, you look at his usage when he was at Arkansas, and I think not that you want to move him off the ball in Sacramento, but if you are going to keep Domantas Sabonis, he does have the movement patterns off the ball, and also I think just the shooting off the ball. He'll be able to play alongside either another primary ball handle or someone like Sabonis if you want him to operate as a hub.
Yeah. All right.
We're on to number 8 now, though. Who had number 8, Grant?
The Hawks, right? Was that the?
Did they keep it?
Yeah, they did. So I'm thinking this is Flemings. Well, you tell me
would
if I'm
be
right
correct.
Okay.
You are correct, yeah.
Kind of the last, because Burries is more of a 2, I think, right? Is that your reading of it, or he's not a lead ball handler.
He kind of reminds me of what if Con Knipple could make all defense, is how I would like Brayden Burries peak. Is just
okay.
If you're wondering where he was on my board,
Jesus,
he was higher than Acuff and Flemings.
Okay. So yeah, Flemings is kind of the last then for a little bit here. He's the last of that chunk. I guess Burries is sort of in that chunk, but yeah, that's about it of that cohort of guards there. And they just needed someone to make their half court offense better. I guess CJ McCollum will have some of those responsibilities again, but that seemed pretty logical to me. I do feel like you saw some interest in Mara for them, but like if Okongwu was my 5, I'm happy. I'm willing to address the guard thing before that. Although, like, again, it's a rookie. Is he going to come in and captain a playoff team and run probably not.
The answer is no, because I think that this was probably this was my least favorite pick in the top 10 by far.
Tell me more. I can't pretend to know a heck of a lot about him.
Look, there's been a lot of talk about his athleticism, and maybe it was the spacing that he was working with in school. But when I'm watching him in that, like it just didn't pop off the page when I'm watching the possessions while he was at Houston. The shooting is 38.7% from 3. Okay, cool. You took under 3 attempts per game. Getting to the mid range, I guess, is fine. He can get to the basket, but his finishing was under 60% at the rim. Didn't shoot too well on layups, I believe. So that's just not going to do it for me. And when you look at again, I'm not saying they should have drafted for fit, but the infrastructure of the Hawks, where Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, as of now, Jonathan Kuminga, you don't there's no lights out shooters on this team. You don't look at the Hawks. I mean, I guess maybe Kispert for now, or Buddy Hield technically for now, but you don't look at this team and think that the floor is going to be you can get to a point where you have 4 quote unquote shooters, but none of them are dynamite. And so if he's not going to, I don't know that he's going to translate to off the ball. The fact that he does perform so well defensively, that bodes well for this team. Like they have a lot of disruptors on the court right now, but I think there's a chance and maybe this isn't good or bad, but like you use the number 8 pick, you probably want them to play, right? I don't know that he's guaranteed to play on this team next season. Aaron Wiggins is there. Nickeil Alexander-Walker's there. You brought CJ McCollum back. They have immediate expectations. I won't write off. We did this earlier in our careers when we used to have to do all the busts. I'm not about to go there. It was the 8th pick. Do I think he'll be better than Rob Dillingham? It's like a safe.
That's the scary comp, right? If you're taking one of these guards, that's the scary, that's the cautionary tale.
Fleming's profiles just differently because of the defense for starters. But maybe I just need to watch more of him, but the athleticism did not disarm me the way that people are talking about. And again, that could be more about Houston spacing, but I don't think the Hawks, okay, they'll get out in transition, so that should shine. But when you're looking at the Hawks' lineup, I think you're going to run into issues and wonder, can he play with 2 of Jalen Johnson, Jonathan Kuminga, and Dyson Daniels on the court? We already know you can't play all 3 of Daniels if Kuminga's still there, Johnson together. So this is, it's not even about the fit, but maybe the Hawks, they might need to move some pieces around if they want to actualize the best version of Flemings. And I just don't know if they're on that type of trajectory.
Okay.
They're going to prioritize winning over the development of Flemings is, I guess, more so my point. And that's not a situation that I think is good for him because there's just, for me, too many rough edges to his offensive game.
Okay. I get you. All right. So that takes us to what Dallas has 9 or came in. I'm going to assume Dallas kept the pick. And man, I want to say Burries here. I have some thought to they're worried that Derek Lively's never going to be healthy and they maybe go with the big, but I'll go Burries. I feel like most people had him among their top 8. So I'm going to guess.
It's your second miss. They went with Dusty Day's guy.
Okay.
Morez Johnson. I mean, look, this team is going to be, if Derek Lively's healthy and you have Cooper Flag and you have Morez Johnson, they are going to be beasts on the defensive end. That's just you have so many. I mean, you look at Max Christie being on this team, even just the size and physicality of PJ Washington, Najee Marshall. We'll see how many of these guys actually stick around aside from Flag and Johnson. Even Lively, I'm just curious. He's extension eligible and has had a bunch of injuries. I'm just with Burries on the board, just sort of felt couldn't you use more shooting around Cooper Flag?
When have you ever had? When is the too much shooting a problem? That would be my take on it.
So I guess I'm not surprised because of the Michigan ties. I guess I didn't give that enough thought though going in, but I don't know. Burries would have been the pick here, but Dusty, I call him Dusty Day, Dusty May.
Man, so I mean, how do you think Lendeborg and Mara feel about that? They were sitting right there. I think most people had them mocked ahead of Johnson, right? Those guys were both.
So Wasp did say that, and Wasp wasn't a Johnson guy either, but he did say that Glasgow's him aside picked the 6'9" prospect with questionable shooting.
He's got a type.
Wash did say that Morez Johnson was skyrocketing up people's draft boards, which I always find fascinating because it's what is happening in these sort of simulated workouts that is making you think, oh, whoa,
yeah, right.
He was 16. No, he's top 8 pick, top 9 pick now.
Yep. No, that's very, I gotta say this is to relate to this from my real life experience. There's a tryout for this travel baseball team. It's going to be 2 days. It's you really think they're basing their decisions on what the kids do those 2 days? They know all their numbers from the full season. Everybody knows who everybody is. It's very much the team is 90% decided. So what's he doing in these one-on-ones that are overshadowing his full season of college? But I don't understand that logic either. All right, man. Okay. So my confidence is shaken here. Who's got 10? I don't even remember now. This is the Bucks.
They kept it. Congratulations. Okay. You got it right. Nice job.
Yeah, I'd
nice
say
job.
They kept it.
Right.
What do you do here? So I got to think about, they shouldn't be drafting for need, but this is post Giannis trade. So they got a whole rotation that's new to the roster now. Miles Turner's still there, but probably not for a long time. So they could be in the mix for, I guess Mara is definitely the highest listed guy. Let's just, I mean, you can't, Here's what I'm gonna do. I think I've just now decided that I would like for the Warriors to have Burry and get him at 11. So I am going to preemptively, I'm gonna hedge, so I don't have to. So then I'll be really excited if they do get him, and I'm gonna say he's going to the Bucks here at 10. Burries.
Burries is going to the Bucks at 10.
Mm-hmm.
You would be correct. So
okay.
Congratulations and condolences.
Still hurt too. That still hurt more than I thought it would.
Are you surprised that they went with someone who doesn't seem to have the same type of, I hate the word upside, but the same type of upside as or someone with higher up, like Amara, I think his best case outcome might be higher, or Nate Ament is good. Like everyone, he's the mystery box.
Well, so Burries is like, you're going to get shooting, correct? Like that's what you're getting from
ton
him?
Of ball pressure and disruption on defense too.
Yeah. So like maybe he's more of a role guy would be the knock. And he's also 20. So he's a little older than he's a year older than the most of, all those other guys in that guard chunk were 19. No, I'm not that surprised. I think, because I don't, Mara, like I get the appeal, but I don't know I'm just,
to me, this was the best player available by far.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where I'm going too. Like I think Lendeborg, the age thing is a question for me, and then Mara is like, all right, well, I don't think he's clinging. Maybe he's more Edey. Edey's great, but like he hasn't been healthy. That's another. Like I don't know. I wouldn't take a center here. So. Yeah, it makes sense to me. I do. You're kind of right though. Like, we'll be wrong. Like, we're talking about upside for like a rookie. Who knows what he's going to become? But that would be the take. The knock is that he's not going to be a primary scorer. Maybe which
is I guess is fair. But when you look at the makeup of their team, are you ready to say beyond a shadow of a doubt that a Ryan Rollins or a Tyler Hero or a Jaime Jaquez Jr. isn't part of their long-term plan? I'm not calling any one of them a megastar, but you have these guys who can generate shots. Jaquez is, or maybe people don't love the shots Jaquez generates all the time, but he's this bulldozer on drives. He's a mid-range. He can be a mid-range assassin. Why not just have the guy who could fly around the court on offense and then is going to work his butt off on defense? He's been compared to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Like I said, I think that does what he can do on offense, like falls short, but of course it's a compliment to his defense. I think he was the best player available, so I have no qualms about this pick. And it by the way, if we look back and say, Brayden Burries was better than pretty much all of the guards that were like, it wouldn't shock me if we look back and say, Brayden Burries was the best guard or the second best guard taken in this class. I mean, Darryn Peterson, so let's say he's one. But when looking at just the cluster of Keaton Wagler, Mikel Brown Jr., Darius Acuff Jr., Kingston Flemings, if Brayden Burries ends up being the best out of them, it wouldn't shock me. I have two of those guys ahead of him, but it wouldn't shock me.
Okay. Yeah, and as I'm looking at it now, because the Warriors are next, like I don't even care anymore. Like there's like nobody that I'm going to feel really excited about.
Hold on. Did they trade the pick?
You know what? I'm going to tell you what I hope happened. I hope they traded 11 in a package for Trey Murphy III. Can you please tell me that that's what happened?
You were going to be disappointed. They kept the pick. Would you like to take a stab at who they selected?
I feel like it's Lendeborg because they probably wanted someone that they think is going to contribute immediately, and that feels like what his whole deal is.
So you are correct. They took Yaxel Lendeborg, which, by the way, I know he's older, but he just does so much on the court that I'm fine with it. Like it's
okay.
You're at 24, and we're talking about when you're looking at teams like the Timberwolves, when we get to the Ayo Dosunmu / Julius Randle stuff, they're talking about like Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid getting better in year 7 or 8 or whatever they're entering. So I'm not gonna a 24-year-old rookie. I'm just not gonna like. Yeah, he might just get better. If you also would have predicted there's no way this was happening, but if you predicted that there would be a video going around in which it looked like Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy were arguing about the pick on camera when they were on the clock, you would be correct because that was making the rounds.
Oh, I got to check that out. Now I'm excited.
The only thing I could picture them discussing is, doesn't Nate Ament seem like such a Joe Lacob swing? How married he was to Kuminga and Wiseman.
just because he's just the athletic forward that we don't know what this is.
I don't even know if he's all that. Watching him, I don't know if Nate Ament was all that.
He's long,
to be honest. Yeah,
right?
he's
Like
just the mystery box. Oh, this could 2 timelines. He could be 4 timelines rolled into one player. We don't know.
Yeah. No, I am a little disappointed about Lendeborg. I think I would have been more disappointed by Mara, who was the other guy I thought about mentioning there.
So I have a question. Who would you not have been disappointed by?
Nobody. I that's why I was hoping they traded it. Just because I don't know. Maybe here's what can I tell you what's going to happen when we're done here tonight is I'm going to go watch a bunch of Lendeborg tape and I'm going to talk myself into him. It's going to take maybe 4 minutes and I'll start to believe. that's what's going to happen. Well, right now I'm distraught. I'm not excited.
I think by value, he probably would have been top 10 on my board there. And look, I don't think.
Well, he went 11th. So cool.
So, look at that value. Do you know what I compare? This is, again, it's me. So you have to take it with a metric ton of salt. Do you know what my hybrid comp was for him?
Kyle Kuzma and
stop.
No,
I said what if Aaron Gordon was trapped in Mikel Bridges' body?
Well, now you have my attention.
So you go watch more of Yaxel, and then you get back to me and the kids, everyone who's watching, and we would like to know what you think about that hybrid comp. And it's not even trapped, because I think he works well within like the frame that he has. So I shouldn't say trapped, but it's what if Aaron Gordon was Mikel Bridges? That's the comp.
It's a lot to digest. I'm gonna have to really stew on that for a second.
How many timelines do you think that's worth?
He's right on step. I mean, like, have they planned his retirement ceremony yet? It's just around the corner. This guy's so old.
We've got plenty of other stuff to get to, but I think there's still a few prospects that are worth and things that happen. So of the prospects that you're most interested in, who do you think got Aday Mara?
Yeah. Okay. So let me pull up the rest of the order here. So I could have. Oh, the Thunder are right there at 12. Would they have done? No, they wouldn't have done it. Man, that's interesting. If Charlotte were to have come away with Mara, that would be interesting. But I don't know if he fell all the way to 14.
He did not. Would you like to take another guess? You just want me to
Well, there's only a couple. Yeah, just tell me. It's the Thunder or the Heat, I assume.
We went to the Thunder.
Okay.
The Thunder took Mara. And so that, by the way, I've tried to, after missing on Donovan, after missing a little bit on Zach Edey and missing even harder on Donovan Clingan, I've tried to come around on the guys who move like that. He has, watching him, to me, again, he looks like he has Zach Edey's gait, where it feels awkward sometimes.
Lumbering.
But the passing, he has Isaiah Hartenstein touch around the basket. I could even see him developing a similar push shot game. I don't think he's as fluid as a ball decision maker as Hartenstein, but he's also, what is Hartenstein, 6'10", 6'11", 7 feet, and he's 7'3". This guy's absolutely massive. I did kind of wonder, all I'm saying is, as we record this, the Thunder are $29 million over the second apron. They could clear most of that by just I don't think they're just going to decline Hartenstein's team option. I think a cap space team would just take him.
Oh yeah, he's too valuable. You can't. This can't mean that the Hartenstein is not going to be in the
right.
In the
but
plans.
Hold on, I viewed it. Could this be more of a succession plan to where the Thunder decide, hey, we're going to opt you in, but we're not giving you a long-term deal right now, and we're going to circle back after this season?
Maybe it's hard to say that one doesn't affect the other, because it's this is I thought the Thunder were a pretty good bet to trade one of their picks, right? And maybe this one would have gotten you the most. So it's interesting that they A, kept it, and B, took a big, just because Hartenstein is so important to what they do. But yeah, that's an interesting option. Is maybe they want him for this year, but if maybe things go sideways, they can trade him as an expiring and somebody can then resign. I don't know. It's interesting.
Who else is notable? Where do you think Nate Ament went?
Oh, well, I think there's some real skepticism about him as a prospect, just because of the what is he? I mean, what about the Bulls at 15?
No, that would have been interesting.
So then Charlotte.
No.
Then Miami.
Strike two. Still not right. That's Miami doesn't have a pick. But But you
Oh, right. They traded it to Milwaukee then at 13.
He went 13 to Milwaukee, which for Milwaukee to come away with so a lot of people I think were wondering in real time, were the Bucks going to try and take no Giannis? They don't get anyone who, and I have thoughts on this whole, they didn't get anyone who profiles as a future superstar in the trade. Yeah. Would they take a swing at Nate Ament? I think getting Brayden Burries, who's just clearly better right now or more ready, but doesn't have his like mystery box appeal, but then you also still go get Nate Ament at 13. Like you had 2 picks late in the lottery. Why not make one of them just this? Like Nate Ament's the type of guy that's either going to get you a statue outside Fiserv Forum or get you fired, maybe. And so if you take him too high, I mean, and so number 13 just feels kind of right. And watching him, he like has shades of so many different players, both good and bad. I don't even know what to make of his comps. And so I think the hope is just that if he's in a more cohesive setting than he was at Tennessee, like this ends up being good. But I have my doubts.
Okay. I want to know where Santa Clara Bronco Alan Graves landed. I hope it's the Spurs.
He did not go to the Spurs, but he did go in the top 20.
Okay. Well, if it's Charlotte, that's pretty interesting.
Not Charlotte.
Oh, really? Oh,
I don't. And this is funny. I didn't do work on Alan Graves, so I'm curious to know. Give me the lowdown.
I mean, just like it's like a pretty sturdy 6'9" that can make open shots, but like he's good because he has good feel and is like a pretty smart passer and a good defender, but he's not going to be like a big time scorer.
He looks like Jared Dudley a little bit. Is that one of his pro comps?
I mean, I don't know if he's what Dudley's carrying skill was his shooting, but like similarly like savvy, I would say. Did he go to the Thunder?
He did not.
Memphis then?
Nope.
Who am I even?
Toronto at 19.
19. Okay. Oh, that's such a Toronto pick. Just like another big 6'9". Okay. Or 6'8", I guess. Depends on where you're looking.
What about Mike? Well, actually, we should go with.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Your guy, Dailyn Swain?
Yes. Who I was hoping at one point weeks ago would fall to the Knicks at number 24. They would have just traded him if he did. Grant, he did not. He was picked a little earlier than 24.
Okay.
Overall.
Well, I keep guessing Charlotte, so I'll just say them again because you get 2 cracks at it in the top 20.
Nope.
Did he go to the Thunder?
Nope.
Shit.
That would have been unfair. He went to the Bulls at 15.
Okay. At 15. That's got to be on the high end of where he was mocked almost anywhere, right?
Right. I think Was had told me that if he was a first-year player, he'd be a surefire lottery pick. So if you can get past he just wrapped up, was it his 3rd season or whatever, I think it's easy to take him there. What I will say about the Bulls, I loved their draft, which is probably a red flag because I think the last time I loved their draft was when they took Patrick Williams at number 4. But they do seem to, with the Nick Claxton trade, and now you get Caleb Wilson, who the decision was made for them, but still. And then you go after Dailyn Swain. Modest Buzelis is there. Maybe they keep Leonard Miller. They're just built to be disruptive and switchy and just have like this long defensive identity. So I appreciate, obviously Bryson Graham wasn't there for Buzelis and the Miller pickups, but I see the vision board.
Okay.
And I like it. Another big name, Giannis Steinbach. Where do you think he went?
Let's see. Oh, that's kind of like, so after Mara.
Oh, that's right. You like Jazzpod says Noah Senge too. He got injured, so I forgot about him. He was compared to Giannis, I think, coming out of the draft at one point. So
Senge was?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I okay. I don't know. How about, did he go to Charlotte? Charlotte has to take a big at some point.
He did. He went to Charlotte he was their 14th, like to close out there. Yeah. He went to Giannis Steinbach went to Charlotte at number 14. I don't know how to feel about him, man, because I don't know if he's a center defensively. Okay. And that's what gives me pause.
Well, yeah, I mean, they do have, so Kalkbrenner's there. He's probably not a starter if you're going to really do anything. And then Dybantsa, like, I guess a very different player than Kalkbrenner, but also I feel like probably not a starter, even though the number, like that's when they got good is when Dybantsa just was their starting center, right? I don't know if that's a causal relationship, but that's when things kicked off. Yeah, if he's not a center, then I don't love it. Can Steinbach shoot? Where's his Ario too? Just trying to read up now. I don't know. This blurb doesn't tell me anything. No, I've just seen good hands, big guy crashes the glass. That's not doing it for me. They already got guys that can do that.
So I just don't know. I don't understand necessarily. Not that I don't understand, but I'm curious to see what the theory of him is going to be. I feel like you almost draft him with the hope that he can be a 5, or you because I don't know that him and Musa Diabate or Kalkbrenner should be playing together. I just can't. Maybe you're trying to get away with smaller lineups where, if we have Miles Bridges and Brandon Miller on the court, it comes together. He's a great rebounder.
Can you tell me where? Let's see. I'm trying to think who else really jumps out as. I'm curious.
So you asked about my reaction before we jumped on. I thought he was going to end up going in the second round, but Brooklyn, with the 28th pick they got from Minnesota, drafted Joshua Jefferson, and I love that pick for them.
Speak to me about him.
He's just he's cut from the Dailyn Swain mold of this guy could shoot. Look at the positional malleability of him on defense. His comp has been Kyle Anderson, which I just staunchly disagree with. I think the shot is going to be better, and I also think that he plays. If you watch him on the ball, I don't understand where necessarily the Kyle Anderson comps. He's so much faster on the ball than Kyle Anderson. I know it's a low bar, but it's he clears it measurably.
Someone would say the lowest.
Right.
He's faster than Kyle Anderson. All right. Let's see. What about, let me ask you then, was there anything else that, I guess we're at the point in the draft where there's not anything shocking. If there'd been a big trade, you would have told me about it by now. Was there any other picks that you felt like were way out of step with just the mocks that you'd seen? Because we've really kind of knocked out the top 12 to 15 that I would have assumed. Kareem Lopez is someone I've seen mocked in the top 12-ish. Where did he end up?
Kareem ended up going he's on Memphis. So I think Memphis was a big winner outside of getting Cam Boozer, just because they traded down 5 spots. So they went from number 16 to 21 in 2 separate trades and accumulated 5 second-round picks in the process. And then we're able to get Kareem Lopez, who I don't know what he's going to be defensively, but based off what little I've seen of him, the Franz Wagner, but with the jump shot comparisons, aren't bad. He has some of the shoulder stuff that Franz can do. So I thought that was a nice pickup by them, but to also the asset management of getting 5 second rounders in the process was a big deal. I also, after listening to David Lee and Samson Folk talk about Bennett Stirtz, I didn't know a ton about him, and then all I saw was he's 6'2" and a quarter or whatever he's listed at. I came away just smitten. Is this going to be a Landry Shamet, Colin Gillespie cross type of player?
That's fun.
Yeah, I mean that would be an incredible, that's a starter probably or close to it. Memphis, he went with the Memphis pick, but OKC acquired him.
Ooh, that's
so
exciting.
Another just guard that's a little gritty but not super huge. OKC went after. Who'd have thought?
Market inefficiency. Everybody's out on small guards, and the Thunder hop in there. Interesting.
I thought the Spurs had a nice draft too, so they picked up with the pick that they got from Atlanta to fill out the DeJounte Murray trade. They drafted Jaden Quaintance, who I know a lot of people are just kind of split on, but I'd seen him mocked some people had them firmly in the top 10 on their big board, and so just this guy who's 6'9" and can defend and make some reads off the catch. He's been compared to, I can't even remember. I've probably seen Jared Vanderbilt thrown around out there. I don't think he's as hopeless on offense, but putting him in the Spurs system, I think will be interesting. They also got, though, I don't know if they traded directly with the Knicks or if they got it from they got it from Denver. So Denver traded the number 26 pick, and the Spurs took Taurus Reed. I don't know how you pronounce it, Junior. And so that's another bigger guy to get in their system. And we talked a lot about they need different types of functional depth in the front court. Now, I don't think that a lot of people had Reed going in the second round. He's not super huge for someone who's classified as a center. He stands under 6'10". But if you're going to compare someone to just Isaiah Hartenstein and Day'Ron Sharpe, you have my attention, especially if they're going to the Spurs.
Yeah, and I think wouldn't you say that the Spurs at this point are in benefit of the doubt territory with their draft analysis? Just given the six, now obviously they got the easy ones, but like Carter Bryant, like that's working out. Like it seems like we should put a little faith in what they can do from an evaluation standpoint.
I'm trying to see if anything else stood out here. In the chats from PP, yeah, Koa Pete.
Can I look at the chats now? I can look at the chats now.
Yeah. He ended up falling. I don't think that he's just gonna have the offensive tools, or I should say, like the shooting necessary to be like a high impact player. He has drawn comparisons to a bunch of Swiss Army knife type guys, whether it's like a Thaddeus Young type. He slipped to, where did he go? I'm not looking at the board right now, but he came off the board at 30. So he went to Dallas at 30. That's actually wild. So just between Dallas ends up, Koa Pete, Morris Johnson, they have Cooper Flag. They've cornered the market on just like these forward types. Also, do you know what was funny? And this is in the chat too from the Jazz Pod. LeBron 5. How do you pronounce this?
Is it LeBaron?
LeBaron Philon. Pete got traded. Did he? Why isn't that listed on my thing? I'll have to look that up. But he went to the Sixers. So you don't have Jared McCain, but you have
the
how
next
do you pronounce
one.
It?
I think it's LeBaron, but you're
LeBaron,
asking. I've only ever read it. I certainly haven't watched an Alabama game.
Pete. Oh, it was the Suns. So that's right. The Suns traded for him. This is what happens when you hop on before the first round is over. So that's interesting by the Suns. That's interesting. That's that fits like the model of how they played last year. We're just like these, I don't want to say tryhards, feels pejorative.
That's not a pejorative. Tryhard is a positive.
So I don't know what he's going to do offensively for them, but that's another this dude is going to get on the court and you're going to feel this. But I like the spirit of the pick. I'm just curious as to, do they have, I guess between the table setters they have in Gillespie and Booker, that should help. But he doesn't I think people are lower on his jump shot than basically anyone who's standing like a 6 foot
bigger,
7
bigger, bulkier Ryan Dunn type.
Oh man, I'm looking now. One of the ringer comps for him is Brandon Bass.
Nobody wants. He's hitting 12-foot baseline jumpers all day. Look out.
Oh man. Oh yeah, but 30th pick, whatever. So there was nothing seemed. I think you could argue Koa Pete was the biggest slider, and I saw him just in the 20s on people's big boards. So I don't find that as just him going to 30 as some shock.
I mean, really, the consensus, there was not a surprise in the top 10, right? I mean,
so I was going through it in Wasserman's final mock at Bleacher Report. He got the first 7 picks right. And then 13 of the 14 players he mocked in the lottery went in the lottery.
Yeah.
That's pretty chalk.
Yeah, I think it's, chalk, right. It was, I mean, the top 4 were, easy to say now that it happened, but it was that seemed locked in for the last couple months.
Not
right?
if you follow me on social media. It didn't seem
that just seemed like that was a given. And then, 5 was where it got interesting. But even then, it felt like, it was only going to be one of a couple players. This did not feel like a draft where there were going to be big leaps up the board or big slippage. Maybe there's just a lot of groupthink happening. I don't know.
Was there? I feel like I didn't ask your opinion of this enough as we were going to wrap this up before getting into Giannis. Was there any going through of picks that you would just especially? It didn't seem like anything was overly shocking, but was there? You look at a player team right now and you're saying, "Hey, this is great."
Man, well, I think Mara to the Thunder felt like one. I didn't think he would be there. I thought he would go in the top 10. I don't know if it's more like that's the one that has my attention. I feel like most that's because I'm just thinking of what does that mean for what they're gonna do? Other than that, Yeah, who did Dallas took Burries, right? Is that, or did I already?
Oh no, they took Morez Johnson. Burries went to
that one
Milwaukee.
surprised me because I was not privy to the momentum that he seemed to have. I would have rather probably had Burries there, but that's who knows. Yeah, pretty chalk. I'd say was my takeaway.
If you're interested, so the Knicks traded cash considerations to the Lakers with the number 24 pick for the number 25 pick, while they selected Sergio De Larrera. You should have, I can't pronounce it, but you should have heard Adam Silver put like some real English on it in real time. Yeah.
Rolling those R's.
Yeah. So they traded him at number 25 to the Dallas Mavericks for number 30 and 2 second-round picks. Then they traded Koa Pete. So that was the number 30 pick. Don't know how I missed that. To the Phoenix Suns for 3 second-rounders and cash. So they moved out of the first round to pick up 5 second-round picks and cash. They got out of the $3 million or so cap hold that was there at number 20. Maybe it was 3.4 million is what they would have made on the rookie scale while getting some cash. I'm not going to lie. There's reporting now from Ian Begley that Mitchell Robinson might, once Ian Begley said something about the Knicks, I'm like, oh,
yeah.
If James Dolan says it, I'm skeptical, but if Ian Begley says it, I'm listening. They seem legitimately like they're going to try and avoid the second apron, which I personally find a little wild. I understand. Everyone could point it out in the comments like they did when we went through our Knicks look ahead. I promise you, I understand the team building restrictions of the second apron for a year with this core. I don't understand why you wouldn't deal with it. But that's just if it's all about Mitchell Robinson and what he's going to cost, maybe I'll look back at this and say that was the right decision.
Let's see. I want to before we leave the draft, PDP does ask a relevant question. Anybody who is still on the board that surprised you? I'm sure this isn't directed to me because what do I know? I'm trying to think. I guess is there anybody that's I'm trying to see like mocked in the? Where did the Stanford kid go? Okori. Did he get drafted yet?
He did not, did he?
That would be a surprise to me. He talk about a small guard. He's listed at 6'1", but I've seen him mocked. I'm looking at one now where he's mocked 18th. So maybe that's the best answer I got.
He did get drafted, but this player didn't get drafted. I was surprised Cameron Carr dropped all the way to 25. I thought someone with his shooting would have gotten drafted higher. Malik Thomas still being on the board and Baba Miller. Those seemed like two guys that could have went in the first round too. There was so much guards at some point. Maybe it makes sense that Malik Thomas.
You reminded me. It's a weird time because everybody seems to agree that in spite of the Brunson thing, that small guards, that's a positional type that's just dying out. And it's like, what are there 9 of them in the first round so far? And half of them are in the top 10. We'll see. I guess this will be an interesting inflection point or not.
And Okori went to OKC, ended up having the pick, right? Traded to Detroit, or Detroit ended up taking? No, Okori's on. Man, these trades are confusing. Okori did get drafted. He got drafted in the top 20. He ended up on the Pistons.
Okay.
Did you like him? I don't know enough about him.
It's just a name. It's a name I kept seeing. Certainly as a first rounder that we didn't discuss. So he did go, but I guess after maybe
he actually went pretty close to the lottery.
Yeah. Okay. We just didn't get to him in our guessing game.
My Boomer Brust prospect on the board to actually answer the question. I guarantee you I probably have him higher on my board than 99% of people. I'm very interested in Trayvon Brazil from Arkansas.
Can I tell you, I love that name. Great name.
He's a jetpack floor spacer, man. And he has some injuries in the rear view and he's super undisciplined, but if he's going to be able to space the floor and block some shots, I think that anyone who's taking him in the second round, especially, and do the Knicks, what is their set? They still have number 31. So I'm looking at you, New York. You want to replace Mitchell Robinson? Why don't you find Mitchell Robinson, but with a jump shot? I wasn't going to compare him to that, but Trayvon Brazil,
but you did.
Mitchell Robinson with a jump
shot.
Then
you did it. All right. Well, hey, you know what? I enjoyed it. I feel like I was as successful as I've been in any other year, which I don't know if that's saying much, but pretty easy draft to come into cold though, as we discussed. You want to get to some non-draft news?
Yeah. What happened?
Nah, nothing. Just the end to the longest ongoing trade saga. That ultimately concluded like sort of how, in the least surprising way, with Giannis going to the Heat. Do you want me to read off the actual trade package here, just for any? I'm sure.
Yeah, hit us with the details. Yeah.
So the Bucks trade Giannis and Bobby Portis to the Miami Heat. The Bucks basically get back everything they realistically could have, which kind of, I had some doubts about whether, like, will there be better offers if they wait till the summer? Like, should they have done this at the deadline? Certainly should have done it a year ago, but didn't. The Bucks get back Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Khalil Ware, Kasper Yakuchionis, number 13 pick, a 2030 first round swap.
That number 13 pick has a name, Grant.
I already forgot who it is.
Nate Ament.
Nate Ament. A 2031 first unprotected, a 2033 first unprotected, a 2033 second, and the Bucks generate a pretty big trade exception, $25.4 million. So Hero, Jaquez, Ware, Yakuchionis, 3 firsts, if you count 13, a swap, and a second. Like, my main takeaway from this is, all things considered, given the circumstances, that's a pretty good return for the Bucks. I think that's, I can't knock it. It would have been nice if there were more bidders, if this had happened earlier. We've been over that a million times. The deal's done. I think you got to feel pretty good about this from the Bucks side. Would you agree with that as like a threshold issue? Like, pretty solid.
Yeah, I just you have to evaluate it independently of, did they wait too long? Because the answer is yes.
Yeah,
but
we're done
to get
with
what they did after waiting too long. And by the way, I think what you could also point out is, it's tough. They got more than they would have gotten at the trade deadline. And you could talk about, well, Giannis was injured, but I think the big variable here is they made a bet that a team would emerge out of the woodwork that could at least be used as a stalking horse for the Miami Heat. That team emerged in the Boston Celtics with the Jaylen Brown package. And so that kind of forced the Heat's hands. And so not the one, but I saw a lot of criticism over the package. And I think that we overestimate how often there's a trade made and we look back and say, they got a future superstar. You look at the Donovan Mitchell trade package. Nobody was talking about Larry Markkanen as a future All-Star, All-NBA candidate. It was all about the picks. You look at the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander trade to OKC. That was about the picks more so than SGA. Was anyone picking that he would develop into a 2-time MVP? No. So it's just to say that. No. Do I think that Tyler Hero's been an All-Star? Do I think that he has another level to get to? I mean, maybe, probably not. Do I think that Cass is going to be a megastar? No. Do I think that about Jaquez? No. But that doesn't typically happen. It's very rare that we look back. Like, Luka Doncic didn't even net that type of player.
Okay. No, you're right. Also, like, the Bucks did not have that opportunity. So, like, it doesn't, if your knock on this trade is that there's no potential superstar in it, like, show me the one where there was. Like, that, we just have to deal with, like, what the offers actually were. Like, I guess Jaylen Brown counts as that, but, like, that just didn't seem like it was going to happen. So I don't know. I'm actually surprised that you ran into criticism of the Bucks side of this. Granted, I was deliberately not that online today, even for me. But I thought it was, like, pretty roundly agreed to. I guess this is just proof that, like, Twitter will show you whatever, it has an amplification problem. It will make it seem like there are more critics of something than there actually are. It felt to me like everybody, I guess, should I say everybody whose opinion I respect or I believe should be listened to, was pretty unified and like, good job, Bucks. Like, that's, good job on this return in these circumstances today for getting everything, that you could have done had you moved sooner. Like, that seemed like a total, like, across the board agreement to me. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it was just the Bucks are not going to be in a great spot. It's just, I think, what a lot of people feel. And
when you trade a generational cornerstone like this?
I think what they've at least done is, okay, they have a bunch of interesting play. Maybe Tyler Hero nets you another first round pick if you look at moving him. The other, like, can we say, like, also Khalil Ware? I tend to be lower on Khalil Ware than most, but that's another, like, they got legitimate. If you
No.
tried to look at this in terms of first round value, so in actual picks, they got 3 first round picks in a swap, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you include the players, like, are we talking about another 3?
Well, I just was thinking as we were going through some of the draft stuff, like, oh yeah, Rollins is still here. I mean, Miles Turner had a bad year, but I still kind of like Miles Turner. So it's like, oh, Rollins, Turner, Hero, Jaquez, Ware. I like. There's a rotation emerging here in my mind. Like,
Brayden Burries,
Brayden Burries going to space. They're at least interesting to me. Like, I think, yeah, you like Jazz says, like, Hero and AJ Green. Like they're shooting.
Burries,
they're shooting on this team. This team has shooting. Like, I don't know that defensively we'll see. But I don't know. I'm at least interested in what the Bucks might look like. And maybe that's just because they're finally different, and so that's part of it. But yeah,
it's finally over. But I will also say is they got not only they get off Portis, but they didn't have to take back the Jovic deal.
Sure,
as part of this,
which looks just awful right now. By the way,
so bad. Colin Gillespie out here getting 4 years and $48 million after starting for a playoff team, and Jovic, at was it, 4 and 60 or whatever?
Yeah, too much.
Not the only thing, but I have 2 questions for you. But if on the criticism side, would you have preferred this package that they accepted, or the Jaylen Brown plus 2 first round picks that Boston was apparently offering, knowing that one of those first round picks was probably number 27 in this year's draft?
I think, and they got rid of Portis. That's the other something to think about there. I didn't know. Was it definitely 2 firsts, but one of them was. Sorry, I was reading the comment. One of them was going to be a shitty first. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, one of them was going. I'm assuming one of them was this year's or next year's first, which was going to be bad. I'm assuming at least one of them had to be an out year, based off how close it seemed like the Bucks were to taking it. But
I think I like the Miami package better. I guess.
Do you want to know why that's right? Because if you want to sit here and say, well, they could have just reflipped, because now if you have Jaylen Brown, he's expensive and you're beholden to win with not having a whole lot around him. You're not getting the supporting cast that you just got. If you could have rerouted Jaylen Brown for all these picks, it would have been folded into the Giannis trade itself and probably been done. Unless there was the reporting from Jake Fisher that said Jimmy Haslam didn't want to deal with Jaylen Brown possibly requesting a trade, and so he pushed this through. He's also the one that kind of set the arbitrary but realistic by the draft deadline. So your argument either needs to be that, or it needs to be, if you don't like this package, what was the alternative? And then your argument needs to be that Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks could have turned into more than this, and that the Bucks decided to say yes or okay this deal too early. I'm not willing to buy any of that. Like, there's value in having clarity, especially when the package is, even if you don't think this is great, it's a real package. It is a real package under the circumstances. So I personally believe that if you were going to trade Jaylen Brown for 4 first-round picks or something, then you would have just done that. There would have been that deal would have been set up already.
I think too, like, you have to sort of couch this with the admission that we're not sure what draft picks are worth anymore. But I still think this, again, it's old logic because, they're going to be terrible. But I would rather short the Heat's future than the Celtics' future. If you're just talking the picks I'm going to get, especially if one of those picks is a fairly immediate Celtics pick. Like, maybe this is a good segue to talk about, like, the Heat's roster is like pretty threadbare now. Like they can. But like the downside in these out years are potentially very bleak, I think, in Miami. So if you're giving me picks from either the Celtics or the Heat, I would rather have those Heat picks.
I'm probably with you. There's also just more of them too. So you have the rights to 4 Heat picks. What do you expect? What would you do with Hero? There's been rumors about Detroit being interested. Maybe you could get I don't know if you're getting a first round. Like, the package that was being thrown out was Duncan Robinson, Isaiah Stewart, and a first. And I'm like, sure. Even if that was like the first in tonight's draft, hell yeah.
I don't think any part of this return is like, we view this as a for sure keeper. Hero's the biggest name in the group and makes the most money.
Honestly, Nate Ament might be the closest they come to having the keeper. I'm not kidding.
I mean, but Hero's a solid play. Like, he is what he is. Like, you're not building an offense around him. He's his absolute optimal role is as like a 6-man that just scores. Like he can start. He's been an all-star, like sure. But yeah, I'd take a first and split that contract up into 2 people with if I could. Yeah.
Now the other question I have for you is, would you take offers on Ryan Rollins now? He only has one guaranteed year left on his deal, but he is younger. He's good, but he's not going to be making $4 million forever. I understand the way that the new lottery system works, and they don't have their own picks anyway. But I don't know, man. I think that you could maybe get like 2 first-round picks for him. Maybe I'm overrating him.
I mean, that two would be a great return for him. I really like Rollins, but yeah, I think the Bucks should just definitely be in. We will flip literally anybody for more lottery tickets, or or whatever, or just And Rollins is kind of a different case because you might just want to keep Rollins around if you thought you're going to be halfway decent. Which again, this is a new thing. Being halfway decent is is not the worst thing to be anymore.
And especially when your draft position isn't even beholden to how decent you are at this point. It's all about how decent the Heat are or aren't.
Exactly. Let's talk about the Heat side of it, though. They got Giannis now. What? I mean, you gotta hope you can. I guess. Well, you want Wiggins to decline his $30 million player option and bring him back on a 3-year deal that pays him less than 30 a year, right? Like that's got to be one of your first orders of business. You hope you can bring Powell back, I think, because his shooting will really matter on a team that is suddenly very shooting starved, unless you think Bam has yet another level to go as a volume guy and as an accuracy guy from deep. Davion Mitchell's still there. Pelle Larson's role just got huge, which I'm not against. But depth is a massive issue here, and you must factor in that Giannis is not going to play 70 games, I think, is the other thing. So I get. Well, do you want to talk about that? There's a lot of angles to talk about with the Heat. That's the obvious part. Is there just you got to find some bodies now.
You need to find shooting and just bodies in general, and the fact that you're just. I mean, you can trade a swap, or I guess technically you could trade a conditional 2029 pick. I assume the 2027 pick to Charlotte now feels more likely to convey, right? Since you have Giannis.
Yeah. Yes. You've got to hope, I think, above a lot of other things that this now attracts your money goes farther on a minimum deal than most other teams' money goes. So you're going to get guys that might be like tax mid-level that sign for the minimum, or, right? Like that has to be one of the sort of offshoots of this deal.
Because you mentioned the Wiggins stuff. So as we're recording this, they're about, I'll round up, $11 million beneath the first apron, which they're now hard capped at because they took back more money in a trade. You're not like Andrew Wiggins could take $20 million a year, and that's not going to give you the flexibility really to fill out your roster and re-sign Norman Powell. Seems like Norman Powell's gone based off all the reporting.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I'm not high on this for Miami at all. Like, I understand if you can get Giannis. I'm going to say this. Yeah, Bucks not getting Trey Murphy.
There's
Miles Turner and all those picks they just got. Maybe I might do it. Well, let me ask you. I've telegraphed what I think, just in broad strokes of how much sense this makes from Miami's side and from Giannis's side. To be honest. Do you agree that like this isn't a good spot for him if he's trying to win a championship, and this actually isn't the type of move that the Heat seem to think it is, given all the complications they face?
I mean, I feel like this is a move the Heat had to make if they weren't going to hit whatever a reset looks like in the new lottery system.
Is it though? I'm asking because I'm not sure. I get it, right? Like you can get Giannis. You should get Giannis, especially for the Heat, are just like always just star hungry and have kind of not really delivered on that for several years since Jimmy Butler, really. But like, is it the worst thing in the world to go forward with this core and add the number 13 pick and keep your other picks around and like maybe you win 40 whatever games again? And you, honestly, it's a real question to me.
They were never going to do this, but the move was to trade Bam Adebayo. That was the if you weren't going to get Giannis for what amounts to a pittance in Giannis terms. And by the way, that's something that's related to this. Giannis, I think, fucked up. because one of his concerns.
Yes, he's the biggest loser in all of this. If you want to really lay it out,
because he'll get his extension, which he'll be eligible for in January, 4 years, $273 million right now. I think it projects to be. But I think it mentioned this in an interview once too. It might have been years ago, that he's worried about the team trading for him, giving up too much. So what is he left with? Do I think the Heat, you have a better second best player than you would have had in Milwaukee? Now, you could also ask in Bam, but you could have also asked, you have a better coach too. Like just Erik Spoelstra might be the best coach in the NBA.
Sure.
With that being said, could you make the case that had he stayed in Milwaukee and they traded the 3 first-round picks they were eligible to trade, that the Bucks could have been in a better position with Giannis than the current version of the Heat with Giannis this season? If you even have to think for more than 2 seconds about it, that's a problem. And it's not on the level that he needed to request a trade, and just the whole him trying to win or his camp trying to win the PR game was just awful. This was own it. The whole he communicated to them he wouldn't sign an extension. That's akin to requesting a trade. What are we doing here at the Pretzel Tour? And you did this for what felt like 2 years at this point. And so he really, I think he messed it up for himself. And then he didn't want to go to certain. He was only willing to sign an extension with Boston or Minnesota or Miami. Minnesota never had a real pathway. It was funny when they traded Randle, and I saw somebody like, "Is this a precursor to a Giannis move?" And I said, "So they got rid of a first-round pick, and it's more likely that they trade Giannis now." Yeah, sure. I think that he could have done himself a favor if you wanted to go to Miami. Yeah, it would have gotten ugly, but it already gotten ugly. You should have applied more pressure and said, "I'm not signing an extension anywhere but Miami," and then maybe Miami doesn't have to take on Portis or gets off the Jovic deal.
Or pulls a pick out of there that they can use to supplement the new core. I think what he should, if it was just down to Boston and Miami, realistically, he should have done the opposite and said, it needs to be Boston, make it happen. I'm not extending anywhere else. And then that's just Jaylen Brown. And now you're playing with Jason Tatum and Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Keita and like, if you were remotely serious about hoping to win another championship, you go to Boston over Miami a million times out of a million. Maybe you know what, heat culture, Spoelstra, all this. Maybe like they'll make magic. I'm so sick of the like. All I want to do is win, and then you just act in ways that are in direct and blatant opposition to that stated aim. Like, it's insane it's such bullshit. And like, honestly, I am at a point now where like, I find like, I just don't understand what Giannis is thinking. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's been the way you mentioned, the way they handled the like non-trade demand, trade demand, and like the way that he steered himself to a team that doesn't make sense, that like stripped the roster of everything to get like, is no one telling him like, hey, here's who's going to be there when you get there. Here are the hurdles they will have to face to surround you with like anything. Like, does this concern you? Do you see how this maybe limits your opportunity to win a championship if you actually care about that? Which I think he does. I just don't think, I don't know. It's either him or he's not being advised by anybody that like understands how any of this works. So I don't know. It's like baffling to me. How is it not Boston?
It comes back to what you said. If he was serious about winning, he would, because that was the one where it was Boston seems like it put its best offer on the table, and it was Jaylen Brown and 2 picks is a real offer. Yeah, you could even make the case. Okay, there's not a ton. There's still the same amount of bodies left and a little bit more flexibility, sure. But you're absolutely right. Also, a lot of this could have been nipped in the had he just been more firm about this from the beginning. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I don't know how much.
My criticism, like, I don't know how long ago, like 5 cycles of will they trade Giannis ago, was just like, he can't look at this Bucks roster and see a title contender. He can't. It's like, I know I've said this before. Like, it's totally, it's absurd to look at this team and say, we can win a title here. So like, pull the trigger then, however long ago that was. Just stringing it out is, again, just like a total, just like divorce from reality and how the NBA works. I'm never going to understand it. Oh, you know what? If you want, here's the only explanation. Sentimentally, he just wanted to stay in Milwaukee and was irrational about it because he had feelings. And like, if that's the explanation, I guess I can live with that. That passes muster. But like, beyond that, it's going to mystify me until just forever. I don't know.
So when you're looking at the Heat right now, do you even think that they have enough ball handling? There's a lot of talk about shooting. Do you think that Pele Larson's there? But
Giannis has to have the ball. That's what makes him good. We can talk about like how good is Giannis given the availability and the athleticism based game he has. And I saw a very discouraging chart somebody put up of the aging curves of guys like Duncan and Dirk, and I think maybe Garnett was the other one. And it's like also like it's like right as Giannis is hitting this age, and it's like, well, yeah, but Duncan was still an elite defender. Giannis is not. Dirk was an elite shooter. Giannis is not. KG elite defender. Giannis is not that. So like the decline could be even steeper for him, just given his game. Ball handling wise, you've got what? Mitchell,
Pele Larson,
and Giannis. I don't know. I think I would still cite shooting as the bigger concern, but ball handling is not a concern, right? Like Mitchell's not a pure point guard, really. Like that's a guy who's defense first and has become a shooter. I don't see rank the Heat in the East right now. If you just had to guess, they're behind the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pistons.
The Pistons, are they behind the healthy Pacers?
Yes. Oh, I would say so. Yeah. So
What
they're
about
fifth.
the Cavs.
The sixth is. I mean,
we have
regular season certainly.
The Magic.
Now we're in a tier, right? Where we're talking like we're fringe play-in.
Atlanta.
Great job, everybody.
Great job, Giannis. Well, so do you have anything else on the Heat? I mean, we go through like, it's pointless to go through names, as they really need to hope that Grant and I, if we went through a list of free agents right now, and you and I probably know those by heart at this point, there needs to be a name that's willing to join them for a steep discount that we wouldn't even think of. Like that, they need that type of victory now. And I would argue they might need multiple of those kinds of victories. If you were the Heat though, would you have made this trade, or what would you have done? Because if you don't trade for Giannis, what are you doing?
Well, again, that's why I asked. Like, I don't. Maybe I've gone too far towards the like. Well, being in the middle is not as horrible as it used to be if you just draft smartly and whatever. I don't think I would have made this trade. The reasons being, I don't think this makes them a contender. And if you're trading for Giannis, isn't that needs to be your goal, right? Yeah. And I think that I think you could do more with the current roster and those picks. If you really want to swing big, there will be other opportunities at the deadline, or you could blow it up. Like there's a lot of other ways to go. This nukes their future pick wise, and it makes their present like not, to me, in a most likely outcome, meaningfully better. If everything breaks absolutely right and all this free agent stuff we're talking about goes their way, all right, maybe they win 50 some odd games and then they're very scary. And I guess you have to call them a contender. That, like, I just cannot sit here and say that's the most likely outcome.
Do you feel any better if they figure out a way to keep Powell? Which I just don't. I'm trying to work through the machinations in my head.
I think that certainly.
No, I meant like how much better.
Not enough to do it. Not enough.
You wouldn't move them up like any of the teams we kind of named. There's no one.
Oh, maybe they're in the 4 to 6 range instead of the 7 to 9 range in the conference, I guess.
I'm gonna have to clip you had a really good. I should have had you center yourself on camera. You did a good speech on Giannis. I'm gonna have to clip that for shorts. God damn it, Grant!
I can't do it again because I already forgot what I said.
Yeah, Grant, could you just recite everything that you just said? Do you have anything else on the Bucks or the Heat? Because I want to ask you something about the Celtics before we
move on. Yeah, let's move on.
What's next for the Celtics and Jaylen Brown? Because I'm looking at this. Do you feel like Shams reported, I think we mentioned this at the top of the show, or maybe it was off air, leading into the draft, that the Celtics are still taking calls on Jaylen Brown now that Giannis has been traded. Do you think that they've reached the point of no return? Like, they dangled him openly, and remember Kevin Durant, he was linked to that in 2023.
Yeah.
Now there's this. He could sit here and say, well, it was Kevin Durant, it was Giannis, but he just came out of a season where people made fun of him because he said it was his favorite year. I think he meant more so, not just he was the number one option, but people had counted out. We were one of them, by the way, that had counted out the Celtics. There's that variable. So he's now been dangled twice. There is his contract, 3 years and $180+ million. And then there's also, does he want to be the number one option still? What is going on here? What do they do? And the thing that I think concerns me is that if you're now still shopping Jaylen Brown, if this wasn't a Giannis specific situation, and I think you could have even said this had they traded for Giannis, that was a risk in itself, and you were getting the best player. If you trade Jaylen Brown now, I'd be willing to bet a large sum of money that you're the one sending out the best player in that deal.
I think that there's no arguing that. I think there's still a way for them to become a better team by trading him, if that's what they decide to do. But your question is like, what do you do if you're the Celtics? I think because of all the factors you mentioned, you have to, and they are seemingly really thinking about trading him. And I gotta say, like, I get it. I think, and it's not just like, I'm certainly there's a part of it is, I think people are looking at like, well, look what he's saying on Twitch. And like, look at it. There's like they just got to move on from him. Like, I don't know, personality wise, but I think, there's a lot to be said. If they just keep him and make sensible additions, they're going to be really fucking good. So like,
right.
So I would really, it's not a bad outcome if they smooth all this over and they can keep him at all. But he is really expensive. He's not going to have a better season than he just did.
He's also extension eligible. 2 years,
don't want any part of that.
Can I interest you in a two-year, $140 million extension?
You sure can't. You sure can't. So there's the financial factors too, and there's the like, can we turn him into 2.5 good players and a pick? That none of that is as valuable as him in a vacuum, but like, there's a way for the Celtics to improve themselves, become more flexible, become cheaper, become deeper, become better bottom line by moving him. Do you think it's reached a point now where they have to trade him? I think maybe that's the question.
I don't think they have. I wouldn't personally.
Okay.
I just wouldn't trade him. But if I'm wondering if there's friction now behind the scenes because this is the second time. And I can't remember how close they got to Kevin Durant in 2023. This felt like you were definitely in the red zone, if not on like the 5-yard line or something.
Right. It's to where if Giannis had said, Boston, please, it's done. Right. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like the Celtics were going to do it. So,
it might be easier for him because Kevin Durant was still older in 2023. You could look at all right, it's Giannis. He was playing at an MVP level this year on a skeleton crew Bucks team. You could chalk that up if you're Jaylen Brown or whatever. And he did say, leading into the offseason, he wants to play another 10 years in Beantown. But the fact that they're still taking calls on him makes me believe that they either think they need to trade him or they don't want to bankroll this contract any longer, and they're looking at reallocating those assets. And that's a weird spot to be because that is kind of an admittance that, the 2 max model is now just not working for us. The 2 veteran max model.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way.
Because Giannis would have been the second veteran max.
It would be different if I think the 2 max in this particular situation with like Brown, maybe, I don't know. Can you even say like, he might be unhappy? Like if there were no trade things circling around him, a few times over the years, I don't know. I never really bought into the like, what did Shams say? Like he's intrigued with the idea of having his own team or some version of that. Somebody reported that. It's like, well, every player in the NBA has been the best player on their team for most of their lives. They all think they can do it, and they all have at some point. Like it's, I don't make too much of that. I feel like this. Do they have to trade him? Have to do anything? But we're pretty close to where it's like, I don't know if this is salvageable because it would bother me if I kept getting dangled and I just gave you the best season of my career, right? Like it might be the type of thing that's like, it's run its course, maybe, to cliche it a little bit. I don't know.
So this is very Bill Simmons of me, but what is it? Gotta love Grant's rant on Giannis's decision-making. It's what I'm here for. I should be offended. Why aren't you here for my rants, Mr. Richardson? Who's the best player the Celtics could acquire trading Jaylen Brown? I'll throw a couple names at you.
Well, Trey Murphy. right? You
That's
assume you
not
could get
good
him.
enough. I would argue. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay,
As a
great.
part of it, you're getting Herb Jones, you're getting other stuff, you're getting picks, all that. Okay, go ahead.
Could you get
Kawhi?
I would think so, right?
I'd do it for Kawhi.
So now you're
right
gonna have Keaton, Wagler, Darius Garland, and Jaylen Brown on your team.
I don't care about the Clippers. We're talking about the Celtics.
So
This is a one side.
So could you get? You would get Jaden McDaniels for Jaylen Brown if you called the Wolves, right?
I would assume so. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna say no, but you like Jasper. Could you get Chet?
I don't think so.
Could you get? It would have to be a sign and trade. Could you get Austin Reeves?
I bet you could.
Okay.
I bet you could.
Could you get Ament Thompson?
Oh yeah, easy.
Okay.
And what else?
Okay.
And Şengün.
I mean, that would probably be the basis of a package. Could you get?
Yeah.
Could you get Tyrese Maxey?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. I feel like I'm out of fascinating names there. But
yeah,
it's also
I
just
mean,
the names that we went through is just I don't know which one would make me as the Celtics one. There would have to be I would say other stuff, as in multiple things attached for the most part, which is I think that's tricky.
It is, and you're this cuts against like usually the winner of the trade gets the best player, like to grossly oversimplify it, but that is sort of how things tend to shake out. It's just not always easy to identify the best player. We just talked about the Thunder getting Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a bunch of picks for Paul George. Nobody had any idea that Shai was the best player in that trade. But I really do think there is a case to be made for the Celtics getting better, writ large by trading Brown. If you get back enough good players with some picks and you get more financially manageable, I do think that's a realistic possibility. I just don't ask me to draw it out.
Glasgow says Donovan Mitchell for Jaylen Brown. I actually think the Cavs should do that.
Yeah, is Mitchell better than Brown?
They're on the same level. I think. I don't know I have a better one. Maybe not a better one. What about Evan Mobley for Jaylen Brown?
Well, now that's getting interesting. That's getting interesting. I think I do that as more readily as Boston than I do as the Cavs. I think.
Really?
Although I kind of like that from the Cavs side, though. Jared Allen's your 5 now, and you just
Jaylen Brown, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden. You're probably I'll have to look. I don't know how much money is because Evan Mobley definitely makes less than Jaylen Brown, so maybe
but not as much as you think. I mean, it's
because he actually did qualify. You're right, because he did qualify for the 30% max. So he's at next year 50.1 million. Yeah, so this doesn't really. I mean, the Cavs are potentially a second April. Oh well, they can't aggregate then, so that's the challenge. Because they need to finish.
They got to do
something
first to get.
But you figure that out. So Evan Mobley and stuff for Jaylen.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
I like it.
Where did you want to go next? We have a couple things left.
We got to hit the Randle trade, I think, right? So Julius Randle goes to the Brooklyn Nets with number 28, who has a name that I can't remember. The Bulls nose their way in here and get Nick Claxton.
Joshua Jefferson, sir.
Joshua Jefferson. And the Wolves get number 33, whose name we don't know yet as we record this.
Correct.
And for their trouble, they create a $33 million trade exception that they probably won't use. What was your first reaction to this trade? Because I know what mine was. But I'm curious if we had the same.
So my first reaction was, what's Brooklyn doing? Because I was just like, what? That's all it caught. Like they moved up 5 spots in the draft order to get Julius Randle, but also to get rid of Nick Claxton. I know he had what was he dealing with, a bunch of back issues this year or something, but I still look at him as he can make a defensive impact. He intrigues me. Still has a little bit of like the driving game. Mm-hmm. His contract is 2 more years left, and I think it declines in those 2 years. I was surprised that they went this route. I thought more about it though. Julius Randle is kind of just the oh, we need someone to monopolize touches and generate looks for himself, might work there. And they don't have their first round pick next year. So there's value in them trying to win games. So I don't know that they got excellent. I really, the most surprising part of this to me ended up being they did not value, or Nicholas Claxton had no value basically whatsoever. He had enough value to where the Bulls were okay just absorbing his contract.
Right.
But the Nets are still working with, as we record this. I have them at what I put them in for. They have like $30 million or $36+ million left in cap space. So this isn't a kneecapping move. But I'm like, so what are they doing? I guess they believe Day'Ron Sharpe is better at center than Nick Claxton. I'm not willing to buy. Day'Ron Sharpe is good. I don't know if he's better than Pete Claxton. He'll certainly be cheaper with his team option. Yes. I'm very curious to see how they go about the rest of their offseason now, though, after this trade.
Right. Yeah. You've touched on it, and Glasgow in the comments. So Nick Claxton just like, we're just like giving him like good on the Bulls. My thought was like, wow, the Bulls just got him for nothing. Right. And like just got a player who, I don't know, he would start for many teams, certainly not all, like maybe half, maybe a little less than that. And he's on, like, I don't find Claxton's contract to be terrible. It's 2 years and $44.5 million. Like that's, I don't know. I mean, that's starter money, but like barely. And like, so I just was shocked that the Bulls just were able to nose in and get him for zero.
It's a new day in Chicago. I think the other thing that's interesting there too is what that might do to the center market a little bit, because the thought process, what a lot of people in Brooklyn said, is that the Nets made this trade and they want to elevate Day'Ron Sharpe. So they're probably not going to be in the market for an expensive big. Chicago might have been in the market for an expensive big, but now you have your starter Nick Claxton, so you're presumably not going to go after Jalen Darryn or Mitchell Robinson or Kessler.
Yeah.
So that I found interesting too. Was okay. Well, Jalen Darryn and Walker Kessler are just staying put. Then
can I? Do you have anything else on the Bulls? Because I want to get back to the Minnesota side of this. As pure salary dumps go, I don't hate it. I get it. You've got Ayo Dosunmu resigns. That's
I figured they were part of it.
It's linked. And then Naz Reid, if we had, if I had a reservation about the Reid contract that he signed just last summer, I think it's that like, man, that's a lot of money for a backup. Well, guess who's not a backup anymore? And guess who might just be, you know what, might probably is better than Julius Randle, at least in terms of like what you need on a playoff team because of his spacing. He defended better than Randle did. Younger, like you go down the list. I think Reid going forward is just a better player than Randle. He won't have more points, rebounds, assists, but like he's just he's more of a winning player. This is coming from someone that I've gone a little back and forth, but mostly I've just been out on the Randle experience. I don't think he helps you win. So yeah, you move down 5 spots and you dump $69 million of a player that doesn't help you win. You elevate a better player into a more prominent role. You could have just spent on everybody. Like they could have paid Dosunmu what they did. So
correct.
I'm carrying some water for ownership. Sorry. But
are you homies with A-Rod and Mark Lore?
I wish. I think at least A-Rod has a lot of like great peptide.
Do you actually think that they're interesing? Do you really?
No, I just think he could get me onto like a lot of the good like health supplements and things of that nature. If you're trying to preserve a modicum of flexibility as the Wolves, this also helps. I like it as I don't want, the only reservation I have is like, yay, ownership, cutting your tax bill a little bit.
Well,
good job.
That's not even it for me. I think I understand what you're saying, but it's very much TBD to me, because the thing is the Dosunmu deal, which is 5 years, $112.5 million, which by the way, I think we both took the over on 18 million when we did the free agency draft, the Patreon episode, right? So look at us. It tops out at like 12.7% of the salary cap. So that deal is fine. I don't think it's going to be a bargain. But
it's pretty sticker shocky though until you go to the percentage. Like when
12.7% for a start, and he should start, or he'll at least close games.
He has
for
to.
You.
Yeah.
Well, not Dante DiVincenzo's not healthy. Yes, and you like Jester. Randle had to go. It was about the play and the money. But what are you doing with this newfound flexibility? And so what the Wolves are right now is they are 11.3, let's just say $11 million under the tax, and $20.6 million below the first apron. you don't get to sit here and say, you did this for the flexibility. If you don't turn around not immediately, but you don't turn around and use the non-tax MLE to get better, because you did lose some ball handling here. You did lose scoring. And look, Naz Reid is good. Jaden McDaniels is good. McDaniels has more of an offensive package than I ever could have imagined. But I don't think funneling more touches to Jaden McDaniels is the answer. He's not setting up other teammates. I think the biggest benefit when it comes to Jaden McDaniels here is that he probably plays more for the Wolves at this point. And I think those lineups could be a cheat code. That's great. Turn around and do something. They probably won't use the TPE. It doesn't expire till next summer. But it's like when they dumped Mike Conley because everyone thought they were getting ready for like a Giannis trade, and they didn't really do anything with that flexibility. Right. You need to do something with it. This isn't about, yes, do I think Randle was helping them win? No, that doesn't mean, you could say, well, if he was there, they would have felt obligated to play him. Make it awkward then. Bring him off the bench. Like, his value is such that you still had to attach a first-round pick to get rid of him. So I'm not saying they shouldn't have done this move, and I'm with you that the cost was low enough. Moving 5 spots down in the draft order, maybe you still end up with your guy. Maybe they wanted Trayvon Brazil, and they knew he was going to be in the second round. But I'm still a big believer in, and especially when you've already, as an organization, I know there were some ownership tie-ups at the point. I don't think the sale was completed right when they traded Karl-Anthony Towns, but you've now just entered the realm of too much cost-cutting for me without it turning in to anyone. Yes, you got Ayo Dosunmu, but Ayo Dosunmu was another one that you didn't need to, pretzel twist your cap sheet to get Ayo Dosunmu making under $8 million. Like, so.
You're right. If they don't use the full mid-level, it would be pretty disappointing. At some point, I just like, you should get a bad expensive player off your team if all it costs you is 5 spots in the draft. Like, that's, you could end the analysis there and it like makes some sense. But I agree. Like, you got to go turn that mid-level into like, get DeAnthony Melton and another wing or another ball handler. Like, you got to turn it into something.
Because you do need, even if you want Jaden playing more 4 and you have Naz, I think that you're probably going to want, like, you need another kind of forward in here.
Sure.
I have a name for another team that's looking to cheap out, one that Tim Connolly's intimately familiar with. Do you think they could figure out how, because they could still, by the way, this deal isn't done, so they could still expand it and use Randle's money as a means of taking back money. Do you think that you could compensate a team? Because I'm assuming the Wolves don't want to, like, they're not going to go into the second apron, and they would be taking back less money. Do you think that you could compensate a team to take on DiVincenzo, who's probably not going to play this season, and you just take Cam Johnson back from Denver?
Yeah. Does Terrence Shannon as the compensation do enough, or do you actually need him? Or
honestly,
can you do it with
DiVincenzo's cheap enough to where I might look at it and say, if he's willing to stick, like, you could look at it like, what is it going to cost to retain him after this season based on when he's not playing? I think that's enough for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think Johnson would be a great get. Add some spacing, another forward that you could conceivably close games with. You're still, like, just the length is, I mean, between McDaniels and Reed and Gobert and Can't, like, you could play those guys all together with Ant at the 1, theoretically.
And he makes, so he's 10 or no, 23. He's 23.1. So that's what, $10 million cheaper than Randle? What was Randle's number this year? Was he 33 or was he 30?
33.
So in theory, you wouldn't need to actually, if Denver just wanted to get rid of Cam Johnson, you could just take Cam Johnson back.
Well, then we're just going to give Denver a raft of shit for cheaping, because that would be even more egregious if they're just cheaping out and getting rid of Cam Johnson.
Well, it does seem like they are going to cheap out. So,
Well, what else is new? That's not fair. They paid Christian Brown. The Wolves have. I would be disappointed if the Wolves didn't do something else. But I understand this deal as we got to get out of the Randle business. That's a good move objectively. That opens up opportunities for better players to play more and to have different roles. I do think that it's defensible on that level.
So TBD on my end. Let's talk really quickly. Aaron Wiggins to the Atlanta Hawks, who you were upset because between re-signing CJ McCollum and trading for Aaron Wiggins, they are effectively not as dangerous of a team anymore. I want to talk about the Thunder, but the Hawks really quickly. I just thought that this was, like, they're kind of interesting. I loved this trade for them. Just take them into the Luke Kennard traded player exception. I think that Aaron Wiggins, despite not being in the Thunder's playoff rotation this past year, he's another sort of like wing type guard. You could he'll get downhill a little bit. He could theoretically make threes. I thought that was a good piece of business for Atlanta, with the exception of, I don't really know, or I think they might be out of the Zachary Risacher business at this point.
Yeah, and if they are, then there's plenty of evidence to suggest that it's good. It's a good business to be out of so far. He's certainly had opportunities, right? He was a start. He's still obviously so young, but like, it's not like they brought him along slowly. The dude was like starting full time from the jump and has had opportunities to play a lot. I think like that's the kind of thing where I don't feel like this immediately means like they should or will trade him. It's the kind of thing of like, yeah, well, if he comes into camp and is like way better, which is totally reasonable at 21, he'll just earn his way back into the spot we hope he occupies, right? Like it's not like just because he's not playing in games or he got cut from the rotation, it's over. Like, okay, prove it. And then if he doesn't, then well, bad pick, move on at that point. Like, so I'm not too bothered by that. It is just kind of like Wiggins is objectively like, yes, you take him for nothing, of course. Like that's a great get. Like that dude is a rotation NBA player. Yeah, you do that every time.
Do you think this makes it?
What do you make of the McCollum one? We haven't really talked about that re-signing.
Yeah, it's because they knew that they were going to draft Kingston Flemings and they don't trust him. That's what it is. They knew it was a bad decision.
Got it.
I think the way he played in the playoffs, and they just needed more kind of creation from the perimeter, just who could also space. Because you don't have that.
You don't see 1-year deals for $20+ million anymore. It's that's also so weird.
It's an interesting trade chip if they want to make it. I was also going to ask you though. Now they have him at 21, can't be trade eligible right now, of course. They have the Jonathan Kuminga team option. I was wondering, does Wiggins make it more likely that they decline the Kuminga team option? Do they, because you do start to get into the Reese Shea, the Dyson Daniels, the Wiggins, the Jonathan Kuminga. Like there is a jumble there. So do you think that this makes it? I think it makes it more likely they pick up the team option, but I also think it makes it more likely that Jonathan Kuminga does not begin the season in Atlanta, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I was just trying to look. Like they're at 163 in salary right now. The tax is 200. So like even if they brought him back at 24, they're nowhere close to the tax, right?
So their 14-player projection is they has them like $10.5 million beneath the tax.
If you're adding
Kuminga. There.
Yeah.
So if you want to use the full MLE, you would go into the tax. So maybe you could just get rid of. Would you rather? Okay. Question: Grant Hughes, as of June 20. Well, I guess it's June 24th on my end. June 23rd
here.
Would you prefer to have the non-taxpayer mid-level exception or Jonathan Kuminga on your team?
Oh boy, this is where we've come. This is where we are now. So can I go get a $15 million player that's better than Jonathan Kuminga at 24-3, right?
Don't even forget about Kuminga's number. Let's even say he was making. Would you prefer to have the mystery box of the non-tax MLE or Jonathan Kuminga?
Oh boy, let me look at some free agents real quick. Stall for a second. Can I get
Colin Gillespie already off the board? I could not
off the board. Yeah. Boy, there's not a lot out there. I mean, Kobe White's going for more than that, one would assume.
Dean Wade or Jonathan Kuminga? Have we gotten to that point?
Yeah, I think you got to just say Kuminga. I mean, like Dort with I think you probably got to say Kuminga, but it is alarming that that's a question. And reasonable minds could disagree. Would you? Where would you rather have Kuminga or the mid-level?
I would probably I'd rather have Kuminga because I think that as a trade number, you could trade him immediately, and then the number to bring back. That's how I think about things.
Yeah.
Glasgow, Kuminga or Levine? I'd rather have Levine. It's not even close. Please.
Oh boy, this is really. I feel like I'm being targeted with this one. You can't trade Levine.
Go ahead. Or you're still answering?
No, I was just going to hem and haw. I don't know what my answer is.
The Oklahoma City Thunder. Let the cost cutting. We got to call it the OKC summer shred. They're just
summer.
Did you see, or do you know how much money in tax and salary they saved by dumping Aaron Wiggins, who makes under $10 million?
It was like 60, right?
It was $76 million.
That's a lot of dollars. That's a great many dollars. They got more to go though. So
they are, as of now, about $29.4 million over the second apron. It's just really funny because Hartenstein has a $28.5 million player option. So it's just like so close there. Who's next is what I want to. And by the way, I'm not applauding the cost cutting here. They have the option of just keeping this team together.
Yeah.
But So I killed the Wolves for it. The Thunder are just at a different level because their roster was going to cost $500 million.
Right. Well, they're under that though, because at 76 off 554, you're in one of the 480s somewhere.
Yeah, so. Just pay it. Like, what's the big deal?
Well, pennies. Who's next? Not Hartenstein. Who's next to go? Is that the question? Like, will not be on the team? I mean, so if it's Isaiah Joe, that's what saves you another like 90, give or take, by the if we're using the Wiggins conversion of 9 equals 76. What does 11.3 equal?
Man, Miami needs to figure out a way to get in on the Isaiah Joe.
That'd be one to get for sure. I mean, he's a logical one. Certainly Kenrich Williams. I think you could just decline that option, and there's 7, which is probably 50 or something like that that they save. Dort is obviously the one that you would have to think hardest about, I suppose.
I think if you're trying to get all the way beneath the second apron, doesn't Dort need to go unless he's re-signing? I guess if you're thinking we can decline team options on Dort and Hartenstein and then re-sign them for cheaper, like if Hartenstein would sign for $25 million a year, so $3.5 million, or let you start like for $4 and $100.
Yeah.
And so you can start that at what, let's say 23 or 22 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So we save $5 million. Would Dort do something as the mid-level at 4 years? Is that how far he's dropped? So then you're saving another $3 or something million. So then you might only need to get rid of, because when you look at Dort, Williams, and Joe is what I'm getting at. If you're not going to change anyone's cap hold, you got to get rid of 2 of those guys if you're looking to dump the second apron.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. This feels so like the conversations we were having about like how did the Celtics duck the second, like who's going to go? Well, Holiday for sure, and then Porzingis, and then but if you really wanted to do it, it would just be Brown. Like, it's definitely not White. It's just funny that we're having the same types of conversations. I mean, okay, it's a hot take. I'll say it's a hot take. Would it just potentially benefit the Thunder to not have Dort on the roster? Not saying you just don't pick up the option, but maybe you trade him. You pick it up and trade him or something like that. Just because then you're talking about more minutes for Wallace. I mean, like and McCain and Mitchell, and like there's just more guard and wing minutes available, and you're better in the aggregate that way. And obviously you save the biggest chunk by just making that number go away. Is there anything to that? I think the safest course is the one you're outlining. You reduce both his and Hartenstein's number, and then maybe all it takes is either Joe or Williams is gone. But I'm not, you could talk me into just like, okay, we can just do better at the spot that Dort is playing more cheaply with younger players that are not offensive zeros.
And it's it's 18 million in one shot, right? He's on the books. He's 17.2. And I mean, so looking at the cap space teams, I feel maybe Chicago wouldn't take him. Would Brooklyn just take him? Would
Randle?
I think the Lakers might just take him for that.
I mean, he would play for them. They need that type of guy. There are teams that Dort makes way more sense on because the Thunder over-index on what Dort's good at. There's plenty of teams that need a bona fide stopper.
I think that's why you're right, because you're more likely you're going to get more. If you're trading these guys, you want, like Aaron Wiggins got you 2 second-round picks. Dort gets you more than Kenrich Williams or Isaiah Joe, right?
I think so. Like Dort, you could get a fake first, or a late first. You could get
that top 20 protected Warriors pick.
Something, I mean, he would have more. It's way easier for random team X to look at Dort and say like that guy could close games for us than it is for someone like Wiggins, for example, and he got you 2 seconds. So I mean, Dort makes more, so that's a factor. But that dude could start and close for a lot of teams.
I think Isaiah Joe is going to be next. I don't know if that means that Dort will necessarily be back, but I think Isaiah Joe is going to be next.
Well, the fact that Wiggins was first, like Joe's the other guy, like in that bucket. I think that if they tip their hand with Wiggins, I think Joe's a logical choice. But
Grant, we have only two. Sorry, did you?
Oh no, I got nothing. I was just going to vamp. Go ahead. What's next?
Trae Young re-signed with the Washington Wizards. Grant,
boy. I used up my rant.
4 years, $212.9 million, which completely by accident is the exact amount another team could have offered him as a 4-year max in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a bargain is this deal?
If the reason they did this was because they were afraid of another team paying Trae Young this much, they should have let another team pay Trae Young this much, dust their hands off and say, all it cost us was CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Cool. We have the number 1 pick. We got a lot of young talent. You know, we tried. We thought we had a reasonable deal that we could keep him on, and turns out we can't. Oh, well. That's a way better outcome to me than spending $50+ million a year on Trae Young. I really try to like give the benefit of the doubt to like teams that are run by smart, accomplished people that like know the business and know what they're doing. So like, that's why this is so hard for me to understand. Cause like, this just feels like an insane mistake. Would you care to push back on that?
No, I don't. Brian Windhorst said it was the worst contract in the NBA, and I don't know that I could go that. I think Jakob Poeltl, Joel Embiid are all.
I think, yeah, right.
But
given the circumstances, though, like, I think there's a case for that.
What you said to me though, when I posted saying my Trae Young trade to the Wizard takes are aging like milk, you told me that we need to separate the two, and I would argue that we don't. So I'm undermining my own like credibility here, because that trade was enticing to me because you did it knowing Trae Young was going into free agency. So my whole thing was they're either just going to let him play out on that contract, or he'll opt in and they'll extend him off that at a lower number, or he'll just sign a new deal at a lower number. And it's, yes, they're flexible enough to where it doesn't matter, but like Anthony Davis is extension eligible. Like, this makes me less my whole thing was, yeah, they're going to squeeze Anthony Davis too. And I'm not pro players getting squeezed, but I don't think Anthony Davis is a max player in the league anymore. Maybe Trae Young proves us wrong, and there's something to so many are out on Trae Young. Maybe he just comes back like a bat out of hell. But I don't like the deal, and I'm with you that they should have just let him walk. And I want to know what the stalking horse team was. The way that the Nets went and got Julius Randle makes me think that it was them.
Well, it had to be, because it's not the Lakers and it's not the Bulls. I assume and so who else? Sign and trade options, I suppose. A sign and trade would have been preferable. That's a great outcome, because you're getting something in that scenario, right? So that to me, that makes no sense that they were pushed to do this. So does it follow then that this was the deal that they agreed to when they traded for him? Can that be like, is that possible?
I mean, the reporting says that there was at least one team prepared to max him. Do you think that they knew that before the trade? Because that makes it worse. I have more respect for them thinking we're going to get this player and we think that we're going to work out more of a team-friendly deal, because it has a player option. There's just I thought when I first saw it, I said, I didn't read, I think Shams had it, I didn't read the entire news break, and I was like, oh, there has to be some sort of just like partial guarantee on the final year. It's a player option. Look, I think perception is probably veered too far away from Trae being, I think he can be a close to transcendent offensive player. But this is a small guard who can't provide the type of defensive resistance that you might get from Kingston Flemings, since that's or a Jalen Brunson, to stay with that. I don't know. Do you look at Washington and say, well, they have the defensive infrastructure to prop him up? I guess. I mean, they have Bilal, they have AD, they have Sar, they have Bilal Coulibaly. Did I say Bilal Coulibaly already? They have Dybantsa then. They have Coulibaly and Dybantsa. It was unnecessary.
I think Trae Young's best years are way behind him. I think there's several factors that like just the statistical trend line. Like, this dude has not been a good 3-point shooter for like 4 years. Players don't seem to like playing with him. Like, that's going back to the Atlanta stuff. I think he monopolizes the ball to a degree that sometimes leads to good offense, but I think oftentimes is going to stunt the growth of young players. The Wizards have a lot of young players. There's that. I think like this is all NBA top option money. And this dude is not an all NBA player. Like, he's a above average starter. I think net, he's got a big name and puts up big numbers. So like his reputation is greater than that. But the end, like, and that's all to say, like, if they could have retained him for 3 years and $120 million, I think I would have been okay with that. And even that's a lot for as much as I just knocked him. But this is just like, they did not have to do this. The alternative of letting him go was like totally legitimate and excusable. And you know what our reaction would have been had that happened? Like, oh well,
right.
Didn't cost him anything.
You got off of Kispert's money for this year.
Great. Right. You saved $14 million this year. So I'm baffled. I would be deeply concerned if I were a Wizards fan.
It will shock you to know that the Wizards aren't concerned about the price point of this contract. I'm just trying to, what do you think their logic was, that they are just so hell-bent on trying to win games, especially now that the new lottery format doesn't reward you for losing? Or do you think that there's a kernel of truth to the idea that they believe he will prop up, lift up the young guys around him, or just the talent around him, even when looking at AD?
I think they have to believe like those things, and that Trae Young is better than he actually is, and all that stuff. I like, all right, let's be charitable. Trae Young and Anthony Davis as a pick and roll combination, in theory, in the best possible case outcome, like that's interesting, right? If everybody's healthy and everybody does what they did when they were their best, that's an interesting possibility, surrounded by a lot of young athletic players. Okay. So maybe they think they could make noise in the East. Like, I don't know. You could talk yourself into that. You could talk yourself into like, oh, the optics are bad if we just lose him for nothing and we cheap out. We don't want to be that team. You know, that comes with a cost. I think it's a combination of things. All of which are miscalculations to me. So I don't even remember what your question was. I'm trying to see it in a positive light from the Wizards side, or like you want it to make sense. You know, that's kind of what we're doing here, is like, how can we make it make sense? I've yet to come across anything that even as like a devil's advocate case I could get behind.
I'm trying to understand it from their perspective beyond we thought there was another max offer there. Because first of all, if that's your justification for re-signing a player, you've kind of already lost the argument then.
Right. Because it's like, it only takes one, doesn't mean that's a rational one. Yeah, right. That if that's the reason, that's the worst reason. Is we can't let somebody else, if someone else is willing to pay this, therefore that's his value to us. That's just not, that is not a logical train of thought.
And I might have mentioned this already, but it does make me a little bit more concerned about now how they're going to handle the Anthony Davis stuff. Because there was initial reports that they might look at removing him. We know he wants an extension. I think that Trae being basically the only floor general on this like, it's not Bub Carrington, it's not Trey Johnson. He had that market cornered within the Wizards depth chart.
Yeah.
But
I mean, look, like,
they gave up more for Anthony Davis.
Isn't Anthony Davis, if he is healthy, a better player? Now, you don't get to just say that because he's not ever healthy. Or
if you're asking me who I'd rather have right now, I'd rather have Trae
Young. Years and dollars being equal, you'd rather have Trae?
Give me Trae Young on this contract over Anthony Davis on the same one. Yeah.
Man, I think I go the other way. I want nothing to do with either of them. I want to be very clear at these numbers. Davis would not shock me if in a healthy year next season was an all NBA player. I would be stunned if Trae Young is an all NBA player next year.
He's going to have the ball in his hands and put up a ton of offensive numbers. Well, hold on. To be an all NBA player, you need to play in at least 65 games. I said, if Anthony Davis is healthy, right, which you don't get to do. Look, I don't want either of these guys. What it seems. If was a fifth, we'd all have alcohol poisoning. If
he was big time. If the Wizards, this is one of those things where it's like, well, if the Wizards are willing to do this, then you're totally justified in asking, like, are they just going to max Anthony Davis? Like, is that
there's no way?
I don't know.
Well, and the other thing here too is I appreciate the candor, and I don't even know if this is what Davis was meaning to do, but did you see it was an article, it was like a month or so ago, that he went to the Wizards front office and wanted to know what the plan was to build the contender. So clearly you don't think that you and Trae Young
when he opened the door, was everyone just like eating paste in the room? And they're like, what?
So it's just, so you recognize that you have, like, these two can't be the face of it, which is, by the way, that's fine to say, especially when you have such young talent around them, but you just went and maxed one of them out. It's just so, it's so
not
bizarre.
Good. It's not good. It's not good.
And this isn't, look, anyone Wizards fans listening to this, I've been in the bag for the Wizards during the Dawkins Winger era. I thought they've handled everything so just coherently. They were methodical about it. And maybe this, I want to say they've earned the benefit of the doubt, but this is just completely inexplicable to me at the moment.
Well, and it's just like, I'm sure you came across this. It was just like, it's the same ownership that did this with Bradley Beal. And it's just kind of like, oh, right. Like you can only hold out for so long before you just go back to this.
And it's so, like, to see a team that just had the number 1 pick give out, I would say, what profiles right now as one of the 10 worst contracts in the NBA, to actively decide this is a thing we're going to do, just increases the level of inexplicability.
The best thing
I'm
you
spitting
can
now.
say,
You've got me spitting.
The best thing you can say, we've also been potting for 2 hours. So the best thing you can say is it's a better thing now to be pretty good than it used to be. And Trae Young might help you be pretty good. I don't think there's any like this is kind of like the Mobley with the Cavs conversation a few years ago, where it's like, well, if they're ever going to reach the highest level they can with this roster, it'll be because Dybantsa is a generational superstar and he's the best player on the team. In which case, it makes no sense to have a ball dominant point guard that can't defend and doesn't shoot threes very well anymore. Like, so there's
or at least doesn't play off the ball, even if you believe the shooting
right
up.
Can't or won't, whichever you pick. Right. So like this is a move that, yes, it's defensible if like winning 38 to 44 games is cool again, which kind of it is, but it's also like you just got the number 1 pick and this profiles as a wildly unambitious move, which is like, you can't, it's like, it compounds the disappointment of like,
and it's also winning 38 to 44 games is only cool again because of what it might get you in the lottery, which the Wizards aren't supposed to care about. Like, we've entered a cycle where they're supposed to be aiming bigger.
Yeah.
We'll see if we're proven. I'll be ecstatic if I'm proven wrong, because I love so many of the individual guys on the Wizards, but I have questions.
I'm worried because I feel so strongly about it. And it's like, there's got to be something you're not seeing. And hopefully for Wizards fans' sake, that's true, but I don't know.
Final item, because we're going to cover Dusty May when I think I have the Mavericks look ahead scheduled tomorrow with friend of the podcast, Brian Toporek. The Blazers hire Micah Nori to replace Tiago Splitter. I just need a few minutes here to figure out how many guaranteed years are on his contract. I'm not sure if I could count that high. Do you know how many?
It's less than 1.1. So
Okay.
what does that leave us? More than 0.9.
Are we even sure it's more than guaranteed for a half season?
Right.
Wow, Grant, we did like 15 minutes on Trae Young. My God, that was way too much.
Well, I mean, come on, that warranted 15 minutes. John Hollinger had the best take on it that I saw, and I already related to you, where it said Blazers ownership not beating the charges with this one. 1 guaranteed year, 2 team options. Tough, not good. Good for Mike and Nori, I guess. There's only so many of these jobs. You got to take them when they come open. He kind of been in towards the front of the line for a long time. You don't love this as a precedent if you're an aspiring NBA coach.
The post-game pressers in Portland, and even maybe some of the mid-game ones, just got a whole lot more.
There's your winners.
You could say that.
For sure.
There's your winners. I will say, I know what John Hollinger said about Tom Dunden's not beating the charges. Anyone who hasn't yet, go back and listen to the Portland Trailblazers offseason look ahead I did with Danny Meringue, because even in market, he's not beating the charges. These are people that are like there following, covering this team every day. This is just, he's willing to invest in players though, Grant. So this is totally okay. And it's not a bad omen whatsoever.
Well, we don't need to go too long on this, but it's like the worst thing you can be is a lame duck coach, right? Coaches get fired all the time before they get to their last year of their deal because the thinking conventionally has been forever, like players tune out a guy that they don't think is going to be there. It's like they're starting day one with the coach that like,
is he going to be
a
there?
real thing? If that's a real thing, which it seems like it is, like, aren't you just undermining the whole deal? Like and it's got to have a negative knock-on effect.
And what are you, and you do this because what? No one's going to applaud you for winning the press conference. Like teams win when they get players to take a team option. If you have a coach with team options, all that conveys is you're cheap and or don't have faith in him.
Well, and like at what cost? What are you saving? Like a minimum a vet minimum salary? Like that's what you're going to take this PR hit for and potentially like tune your players out in training camp for? Like the calculate, like the math doesn't work. It doesn't make any sense.
Maybe he's trying to save up for that Denny Avdia renegotiate and extend next summer that they're definitely not going to do.
That will be the next thing, right? Like who knows what the next
they don't make any. They're linked to Anthony Davis still, which doesn't make any sense to me. And they probably can't get him because the Wizards are going to want to give him the maximum contract allowed, an extension, I'm sure. But they were in on like they're just so, I don't know what's going on with. Not a fan. I also don't. Go ahead.
I was saying, good luck attracting good assistants, like who are even lower down the totem pole. And like, I'm going to move my whole life to make. I don't know what assistant coaches make. Not like very much.
Are we gonna? Does this start a cycle of undercutting among assistants and first-time coaches who just want that foot in the door?
I mean, yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think I would hope that the backlash to this is so strong that like most owners just realize, we can't be like that.
Don't worry. Adam Silver said that Tom Dundon can't be cheap because he paid so much money for this team.
Sure.
It's not that because he's backed by people who are richer than him either, that was able to be possible.
Recent events conflict with that.
Recent events. Yeah, good for Micah Nori, I guess. I'm surprised they even got like Jeff Van Gundy to interview for that job. If this is just like, is that what happened in the interviews? They were just offering
him like 1993 salaries, and he's like, "Oh, pretty good."
Yeah, but with no guarantee, and then the team options probably would did it.
That did it.
Do you have anything else? We've gone for over 2 hours.
I can't imagine what else I could possibly have to say at this point.
Well, thank you for everyone who stuck with us. We appreciate you.
Good numbers. So thanks everybody for listening, for watching. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe. The best way to support the pod, as Dan mentioned at the top, which if you've made it from the top to now, you're the true heroes.
Imagine having listened to all of this ad-free 2 hours and 20 plus minutes.
Think of the time you would have saved. And if you had been a member of our Patreon, which you can do at patreon.com/hardwoodknocksnba, you could have done that. The time saved, priceless, really. In addition to all that, you get a couple bonus episodes a month. We're going to record one of those Monday. Not sure when that'll come out, but you won't hear it ever if you're not a subscriber. So if you'd like to remedy that, there's one way. Discounts on merch. Join our Discord. You get access to that as a Patreon member as well. Links for that in YouTube and podcast description. I think I covered everything. Hope I didn't rant too hard. Shouts Frank Ntilikina. Apologies to Jared Allen.